Okay, I don't know if my audio on this is working because I had to kind of plug this in last minute. So if you can't hear me, let me know in chat right away so I can fix this because I can't tell. Um, so yeah, so I'm gonna wait till someone tells me that this is working or not. If you can hear me or not, let me know. Same goes for in TeamSpeak. Captain Tim, can you hear me? That does not bode well. Captain Tim, you got me?
Yeah, Moose, you're sounding real low.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can fix that. Let's see here. Move this over here. You can hear me? Okay, good. So people can hear me. I may not be able to hear audio on my end. That may be the issue. I can't fix levels that way. Let me do this. Let me know if that's changing, if that makes anything better. I may have to do, oops, that's not what I want to do. That's going to be bad on my end. Okay, stay where you are there. Is that any better, Tim, or is it about the same?
That sounds pretty good, right?
Okay, excellent. All right, that's what I get for having my headset unplugged, and actually had the headset in my trunk still from from FS Expo, and I went and pulled it out just now, and it was blazing hot, so I threw it in the freezer real quick, and now it's nice and cold. It actually feels really good. So, okay. Let's say hello to everyone who's here first, then we'll jump into the sim, and then we'll talk FS Expo. So, first of all, Gemini Jets, how's it going? Tim obviously is here. Kelsey, I saw, was here. Restream isn't showing me everything because it started chatting before I opened Restream. So, but I saw some other people there. I think David Rothmuller is here. Boeing Manufacturer 9, Downfall Series Parodies, hello. Let's see here. Anybody else I'm missing? Senior Sensei Gaming, how's it going? Oh, thank you for that. You can hear me. Roger's here, and I think that brings me up to now. So yeah, all right, good, awesome. It's been a fun week, and I will get into that. We're going to talk FS Expo once we're in the air, because that's what I want to do the cruise for. So we're not going to be on VATSIM today, because I don't want to have to deal with talking to them while I'm trying to talk about FS Expo. This is really more of a chat type stream, but we're going to do it in the guise of a flight. So with that being said, I believe my weather app is already running. So at this point, we can start P3D. So let's do that. Captain Nate Dogg, how's it going, man? Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. All right. Just waiting for P3D to load. Hopefully I will hear sound. Because if I don't hear any sounds, it's going to be very disconcerting, but we'll see. Nothing is happening yet that would give me sound, so I don't know. All I know is I couldn't hear the intro music on the thing, but that could be because I started that program before I had the... What is going on? Oh, a chase plane update. Oh, great. Okay. Stand by. Bum, 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 bum. Hopefully that doesn't screw anything up. That would be annoying. That would be very annoying. David, how's it going, man? Welcome to chat, or welcome to TeamSpeak. Let's see, West Wind, 7-4, cargo. Okay, we're going to be in Denver, and we're going to start at the cargo terminus, which I don't know what any of these are, but let's go with 20 and see if that works for us. Great. Okay. Let's see, that's set. We want active sky weather. We're going to go current time, which is 6:09. That's 1 UTC. Let's just do that. That's easy to figure out. Boom. There we go. The rate increased again. What does that mean? Our battery stand. I wish you were still. Yeah, well, P3D is basically FSX better. I mean, it's the same thing. It's not like it's X-Plane. So, which there's nothing wrong with that either, I don't think. But I am going to be getting X-Plane here soon. Not that we're going to switch over and do all X-Plane, but just in the guise of being able to kind of do both. And check it out and see. So there's also some aircraft that's available only for X-Plane that are really nice, as opposed to P3D, like the 727. There's a really good flight factor 757, I'm told, that I'd like to get. And so I need X-Plane to be able to work with those. Oh, I do hear things in my headset. Oh, hallelujah. Okay. Gemini, you got the PMDG 747 Queen of the Skies 2. It is a great plan. Oh, be quiet. Not now. I'm not updating in the middle of my stream. It's a great plane. I'm still getting used to it. Also got GSX. Awesome, Gemini Jets. Yeah, you're gonna love the Queen of the Skies. Yeah, GSX is great for immersion. So yeah, good job, man. Wanted to create a parody. Okay, or Baxter Cat abandoned his channel. I have no idea. I see Baxter on here sometimes. His schedule I think is such that he has trouble doing things when I'm on or something. I don't know. I don't know. That is. Oh, okay, we're almost taking out that light pole, but not quite. So fine. All right, let's get this thing started. Oh, you know what? I'm going to turn on borderless here because this annoys me. Borderless games. No, I don't want to update. I love that too because it says, "Do you want to update?" Yes, and it just tells you go to this website to update. Then don't tell me on a notification. That's annoying. All right. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and turn the battery on. Standby powered on. There it is. Just sounds like the plane is purring. It's the stick shakers just engaging, but you know, it's still funny. When you know the the startup sequence for the aircraft, it's just one of those things. I'm waiting for this thing to come online because we're gonna have to tell it some things. Actually, we're gonna need to get the APU going anyway, so let's start that process because we need that to open the door. So start the APU. How would I do a cargo flight? When I grab a cargo livery and the GSX runs it, it sees the aircraft as passenger. It shouldn't. I'll have to look into it. It generally. Are you sure you're using a cargo aircraft or just a cargo livery? Because if it's a passenger aircraft with just cargo stuff painted on it, then GSX is looking at the model, not the livery. If you use a cargo aircraft, like the 747F is a separate model from the regular 747, and so it sees that as a cargo aircraft and adapts accordingly. So that may be where you're running into a problem. I don't know. Nice, Gemini. Yeah, mine too. I love this aircraft. 747 is definitely my favorite airplane as well. Nope, not what I. No, yes, that is what I want. We want dual GPU plugs, and we're going to request that. And the APU is now available, so we'll switch over onto that. Click. There we go. And we can now open some doors. So we're going to go to the menu, FS Actions, Doors. Actually, no, I'm not going to open any of those doors yet. Because before I do that, I need to load the payload for GSX, so it sees what it's going to see here in a second. And I got that on the flight plan. So the flight plan says we are taking how much cargo? Flight plan says 218.6 thousand pounds of cargo. So, you know, I keep doing this formula and I never remember to... Yeah, okay. Come on, people. Yes, I am tired and done with work. Who is this? Yes, I will deal with that tomorrow. Not now. Okay. Deal with work on work time. That's all that I ask. Okay. Let's see here. 100% is the following numbers. I'm just going to do some math here real quick. So I find my calculator. 203285 plus 29816 plus 32526 plus 5419 equals 271. Okay, so 271.05 basically. Okay. And we're doing 218 600 divided by 271,050 is about 80%. So we'll say, actually, it's about 80%. 80.6% actually. So 80.6. Boom. There we go. Done. Okay, now I can call GSX. Maybe. Maybe not. What the heck? Seriously, GSX is not going to work now? Network multiplayer. I feel like there are some new windows here I haven't seen before. What's going on? Sim Director. What is this? Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. You know what? Ain't this always the way? Go on vacation, and this is what happens. There's no livery in Westwind for a cargo. That's because there is no Westwind Cargo 737 NGX. That would be why. This is Denver, by the way. Is the F standing for cargo? Yeah, the F actually stands for freight. But yeah, essentially the same thing. Why is GSX no worky? Okay, I don't really care about any of those things. I just want to see. I kind of don't want to push that. Control Shift F12? That didn't do anything either. GSX Control. You popped up here and told me you wanted to update something, and that happens every time, and I ignore you anyway, and you still... Ugh, alright, fine. You know what? Whatever, I don't care. The whole point of this isn't to really do a flight so much as it is to talk about Expo, so I don't really care. So fine. We'll just do it. Have it your way. Have it your way. This is not the Steam edition, right? No, this is P3D. This isn't FSX at all. This is not FSX at all. All right, fuel. What do we need for fuel? We need 75, 751. I'm gonna round it up to 77 even. So 77,000 pounds. It's very light for 747. That's okay. And all of our doors should be shut. So leave them shut, and that's fine. Okay. You know what I also don't have here is my tablet. All right, we'll have to deal with that. Dang it. Where's my tablet? Is it still in the car? It might be. I think it is. All right. This whole day has been like crazy busy for me. Like it wasn't supposed to be, and it's just been blown up with meetings and all kinds of nonsense that I'm coming back. Frankly, I haven't eaten since breakfast, and so I have some nil wafers here that are going to try and sustain me for this. I've got work to do after this. Oh, it's insane. Okay. I'm going to turn the breaker panel on. I'm going to turn dome light on to 1 for right now. We'll turn glare shield on. Oh, we got some thunderstorms out there. Nav lights can come on. Just got to do this from memory. Oxygen, that's fine. Okay, yes. AP is running, so we can turn the packs on, get some aircon up here. Test our oxygen. Good oxygen test. All of our switches are noon. Turn that panel light on. We're going to turn that one on. We're going to turn the flood on a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Flood on a little bit. Don't trust the fuel with SimBrief in FSX Steam Edition. I put the exact amount of fuel the plane ran out in 20 miles from the airport. Okay, so that is true. It depends on the plane you're talking about, because certain fuel models for certain models of aircraft in the sim are more accurate than others. And part of that then also depends on how you fly the aircraft. If you set the aircraft to use its econ mode, but you fly the aircraft, throttles to the firewall, and flying at max Mach, then you're using a lot more fuel than what the SimBrief thing thought you were going to use. So there's some combination of that. Some of them, there's fuel calculations just way off for a particular model of aircraft. So let's say the default 737 versus the 737 NGX, their fuel burn numbers are probably different because of who made them and how much effort they put into that. If you're going off of the NGX, it's probably going to be more accurate than the default. And if you're using the default, then your fuel burn numbers may not line up with SimBrief. And so you have to figure out how accurate SimBrief is to the model you're flying and then make adjustments accordingly. So, Anthony Clayton, how's it going? Hate it when real life interferes with my sim career. I know, right? Ain't that always the way? What is with two of the same messages? Hey? My grandma on my mom's side was a flight attendant for United. Flew on most of the planes. Also, she was a flight attendant for Eastern Airlines. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Default will have to do. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, I turned that. Oh, crap. I turned that on and I waited too long. It's going to give me that stupid FMC message, no doubt. Pause the net. Going to do that. KDEN. Route. And we're going from KDEN to KLAX. And we'll activate that. And departure arrival. Departure, we're using the what? The Baylor 3. And I haven't looked at the weather yet, so I don't know what runway we're expecting here. Did it tell me what runway I should expect? It might. It might. Let's see here. Or not. Or if it does, I don't know where. Denver. It's not really saying. I think it tells me somewhere, but I don't know where it does that.
I'm on if you got a question there, Moose.
Gotcha. Do you know if on the SimBrief flight plan it tells you what runway it planned for you? And if so, where that
Not that
is?
I'm aware of, depending on your format.
Okay. I know it does when you're initially doing the flight plan, like before you submit the dispatch report, but you would think it would then tell you that
Yeah, I'm
same
going to use 17 right with the Connerby.
17. Okay. Oh, but you're using a different SID, right? You're using what? You said Connerby?
Conner 3.
Connor 3. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing the Baylor 3 is what it gave me. And without the
Current
charts.
surface winds at Denver is 150 at 12.
Okay. Got it. Let me bring up Navigraph. Navigraph here. Charts, cloud, and look at the Baylor 3 and see if it will give me a hint as to what runway it recommends. And then if 17 right is one of those, then I'll just use that. KDN.
I'm flying the same trip way.
Yeah, the same. What do you mean? The same
City route.
city route? Yeah, city pair. Yeah. SID. That's what I want.
And I'm not using VATSIM either, so.
Yeah. Baylor 3. What are you? So basically, almost any runway I can use. So yeah. So okay, we're gonna just do 17 right. 17 right, and what was my transition? Was it HBU or was it something else? Oh, what's this? Ah. It's this guy, Tehru. All right, route. Next, we're going to go to Jassy, Jasee. Jasse. And then we're going to go to via the Q90, Quebec 90. And the Denero, D-N-E-R-O. E-R-O. And that's going to take us to the Angel 3. Arrival, Angel 3. Denero transition. And we will plan for the Angel 3. I'd like to do 2-4 right, but let me just make sure. I don't think there's any issue with that, but KLAX. Because I always come in. Actually, it would make more sense to go on 2-5 because that's where the cargo area is. So actually, we should plan that way. We should do what makes sense. Angel 3. Yes, I thought I clicked on that already. That ends at Circus. Yeah, it's going to want us to do that anyway. So, okay, 2-4 left. Oh, sorry, 2-5 left, rather, is the standard arrival for that. So I'll say it's 2-5 left, and we'll do Circus as our transition. And check for discontinuities. I don't have any. We'll activate, execute, and there she blows. Init ref. 0 fuel weight. Let it do it for me. Reserves are... Whoops. Where are my reserves at? Reserves are going to be 16, that's 25, 26, 26.5. Cost index is 80. Flight level is 340. We're relatively light. We'll do a D-rate 1. Takeoff, flaps 10. What are you flying there, Tim?
Well, I thought you might be going on VATSIM, so I took the 737-800.
Ah, okay. All right, and trim of 6 is what we're going to need for that. So that's good there. La-ti-da-ti-da. And let's see, what did it say? V1, 146, VR, 155, V2, 165. So 165 plus 15 is what I'm going to set here. 180. Heading for the runway in question. Go back to Denver. DN. And we're going to look at the airport chart. And we're looking for 17 right is 173 on the heading. Oops, too far. 173. And that'll be a nice easy taxi, just up Mike basically right there, so that's good. Looks like Sierra Charlie to Mike 2 and then Mike up to Mike 10. All right. For the departure on the Baylor 3, let's take a look at that. Actually, I'll show you guys. Might as well have. Oh, I keep clicking that. No, wrong way. Okay. All right. So this is our runway right here, 17 right. And so we're basically going to go out runway heading and basically right over the Denver VOR. It looks like we're going to turn to 210 and head to Gorok, and then a nice little practically due west to Yorvit. And for runways 17 left to right, we need to be at Yorvit at or above 8,000, and then to Hurdle, which is at or below 10,000, and then to Hoppy. And from there, we join all the other runways, and we go down to Tulo at or above 12, Hilton at or above 14, Mitsui at or above 16. Stop texting me. Okay. And then Baylor. And then we're going to take Boba or Baba or whatever you want to call it. And then to Teru here. Or Teru, something or other. But there's no more restrictions after that. No speed restrictions other than 250 below 10 and our initial restriction is going to be below 10,000 at hurdle, so we're going to set that in the MCD, the MCP. That have all kinds of different things to say here. Transition altitude 18,000 feet in the United States, of course. Just trying to see if there's a top altitude or something it says here for initial climb. Let's see, 17 right. Not really. Maintain 230 or lower. Follow to accept 5. Yeah, okay. All right, so from Baylor, basically our top altitude is flight level 230, but by the time we're not flying on VATSIM, by the time we pass hurdle, we'll just cycle out all the way up to 340. So yeah, there it is, 230 right there. We are pretty high up in altitude here. This is mile high area, so the MSA for the area is 9,200 feet. So we'll be cautious below that as we're climbing out. And yeah, pretty straightforward. So okay, gonna move that back over here. Okay. Captain Nate Dog, you like the new intro? Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You can type into the FMC. I know you can, but it doesn't feel like I'm clicking things at that point, and then I have to worry about switching between the keyboard and stuff. I just like doing it that way. Can you fly for United Moose 4? Maybe. But primarily I fly west wind so I can get my hours in. But we'll see. Maybe. We're not going to do that today, though. You cannot be NightBot 2.0, no. But I see you're trying, so well done. Let's get the... Actually, I don't have any of that, so that's not going to work. Let's just do it this way. Active Sky, I don't care to take the time because I want to get in the air. Let's see, conditions. KDEN. That's DEM. There we go. 150 at 12. Altimeter 2993. That's what I wanted to know. Okay. 2993. There we go. All right, altimeter set and matches the compass. So that's good. That's good. We're going to set 2200 there. Test
Your
our
altimeter
TCAS.
matches the.
No, my heading. Sorry. Did I say heading? Altimeter matches the compass. That would be a problem. That would be a problem. All right, TCAS test pass. Not that we should have any traffic because we're not on VATSIM today. Set that to RTO. And I think we are ready to push. So let's go.
I'm showing some lightning out.
Yeah, I was showing it out in the distance to the south here of us, so we'll make sure we have our weather radar on, watching for that. Beacon coming on. I'm going to turn our fuel pumps on in preparation for engine start. 2 packs off. And that's good to go. Oh, you know what we need to do? Disconnect this guy. Menu, the guy we ended up not needing because we didn't need to open our doors after all. Oh well. Release. Release the hounds. Okay. Dum 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 dum. Disconnecting. Captain Nate Dog, it's not my VA. I fly for a VA. I am in management for that VA. I'm the aircraft manager. But it's Westwind Airlines. The website is flywestwind.com. So if you're interested in checking that out, be my guest. I'd love to have you join the team. I used to also be the hub manager at LAX, but I gave that up. I'm just the VP of aircraft now. Switch that over to that. All right, is he gone? Departing. Yes, he's gone enough for my purposes. So we will remove the wheel chocks, and we return to the main FMC menu where we were, which is not that. That's what I want right there. Okay. And we'll just do a general straight back push departure. So brakes release. We'll do the old shift P. This is one light today because if
Don't forget your times.
that's whatever's not working. Yes, thank you for that. We're at 132 is our brakes off. 32. And let's go ahead and start our engines. So we've already got the packs off, and we'll go ahead and turn 3 and 4. Fuel pumps are on. All right, spinning up. We got rotation on N2 on both engines. All right, manufacturer 9. Go fuel on 4 and 3. Light up on both engines. All right, Gemini, awesome. All right, starter cutout on both 3 and 4. We're coming up to the line here, so we'll put the brakes on in a second. In the meantime, let's go ahead and start 1 and 2.
Glad you're home safe.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Good to see you. It was actually a really nice drive back. Long, but a nice drive back. Set that
I like your
right there.
video.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the trip to Vegas. I have footage of the trip from Vegas as well. I'll be getting that up next week, just because time frame's not going to allow me to get that done in time before I leave for LA on Friday morning. So, and we got light up on 1 and 2. And starter cut out on 1 and 2. Yeah, it's stupid FMC message. All right. Switch the hydraulic demand pumps over. We're going to turn the other fuel pumps on. And we are going to cut out the left and rights there. That will take our fuel tank to engine message away. Yes, it did. And switch hydraulic demand pump back on that one to auto. We can now cut out to the APU.
I'm loading up, so I'm going to follow behind you.
Okay. Yeah, you know I'm not on VATSIM today, right? Alright. Flight director on. Get the toga lights there, good deal. Flaps coming down to, whoa. That's what I get for touching my throttle quadrant. Well, my throttles are all up in the, stop it. Oh my gosh. Hang on. There we go, okay. Stay. Come back up to me, there we go. Good grief. Flaps 10. That was fun. Let's see, put the logo on. Taxi and turn off can come on. I'm going to turn the dome light off. Do not need that at the moment. And let's get a move on. Captain Nate Dog, all right, man. Yeah, we'd love to have you at Westwind. I assume that's what you're talking about. You'll join. You can obviously join whatever hub you want, but I'm stationed at the Los Angeles hub. I think David's at the LA hub as well. We've got some people on here that are flying out of the, I think it's the Atlanta hub.
That is correct.
There you go. So,
I've just been promoted to my category 4.
oh, awesome, man. You are one step away from being able to fly whatever you want. Well, except for the Concorde.
Just need 80 more hours.
There you go, man. Why is Pack 3 off? Didn't I turn it on? Apparently not. Alright, auto brakes are RTS, seatbelt signs on. Okay, good. The rest of those messages I expect. So. Alright. See, this one shows me the shadow of the whole plane. I was noticing there's some other aircraft that only show me the cockpit shadow. It's interesting. Interesting. And then you guys can ignore the FMC message there that I'm showing on my upper iCast. That's a result of me not putting in the coordinates for the IRS unit quickly enough after I set them to align. That's a known bug with PMDG. I've gotten it to go away if I do it quick enough, but if I forget, then that happens. Then it's stuck on the whole time. Yes, yeah, Westwind does have the 777. Bum 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 bum. Alright, there's Lima. We're on Sierra Charlie. We're going to take Mike, which will be the next taxiway, and we'll take that all the way up to Mike 10. And that will take us to the end of runway 17 right.
You got your radar up?
Not yet. I'm going to do it when right before I turn on the runway.
Interesting picture.
Oh, yeah? Are you still on the ground?
Just taxiing to the active this time.
Got it. From the terminals?
Affirmative.
Copy that. Did you already come back from Dublin, or are you over there doing this?
No, actually, they canceled the trip. The guy called in sick.
Oh.
So they asked me if I wanted to take it. I said, nah, not really. So here I sit.
Gotcha. Well, alrighty then.
Said I couldn't let you do the rundown by yourself.
Well, good. I'm glad you came along, because yeah, you were there for that, so you've got some contributing experience.
Yeah, I like the picture on Twitter, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it came out nice.
Not 3D, but okay.
Well, yeah, we can't all be 3D.
was kind of hoping Chris would make go.
Yeah, I think he texted me. He was trying to get his TeamSpeak set up, and I think he texted me this morning, I think it was, and mentioned that he's going to be working nights the next few nights. So I think that he's at work right now. I'm guessing. I suppose I could go back and look at the text and tell you for sure. What a concept. Let's see here. Yeah, yesterday he texted me. He just found out he's working nights starting tomorrow, so his scheduled days off are going to be Saturday, Sunday. So, yeah, so I need to
Bummer.
contact him when I get back from LA and see if I can help him figure out his TeamSpeak. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, or maybe you're watching this later after this is recorded live, obviously right now, but maybe you come and watch this this live stream video later on, I am now streaming to Twitch as well. So if you ever want to catch me on Twitch, I'm streaming to both simultaneously, so you can still chat. It's still all the functionality is there, but we're trying to build up our Twitch presence. So come say hello. That is twitch.tv/Mustafa, Moosestaffa, Mustafa. Yeah, I think that's right. Mustafa is kind of it's a nickname I picked up from being called Moose by someone at our church a number of years ago, and I use that for some email stuff, things, and other things, usernames and stuff. So. Flying Moose was already taken on Twitch, so I had to choose something else. So, Mustafa it was. But don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check out, as was alluded to earlier, there's a new video up on YouTube just posted today of my road trip from Fresno to Las Vegas for the Expo. So if you want to see what that experience was like, it's all in 8 times speed, so you don't have to sit there and watch the whole 6 hours. It took me 6 hours in reality, but it's about a 40-minute video, I want to say, of the whole thing. And I make sure I put on there, what highway we're on and what highways we're crossing and cities we're going through, so you have a good idea of geography. So fun little watches.
I looked at it. It's pretty good, actually.
Well, thank you, Tim.
You should put a clock on your dashboard.
A block of my...
A clock.
Oh, a clock. I got you.
The camera, so it could...
I got you. Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. I need to figure out how to do some kind of a camera thing. I can tell you, it was about when you mentioned. I saw your comment about the limo. It was about somewhere between 12:30 and 1 o'clock when I was going through the strip there. So.
Yeah, I didn't get in until 4.
Yeah. So. But anyway, but yeah, the clock thing would be a nice feature. I just need to figure out how to timestamp that appropriately. I don't know if the GoPro has a built-in feature. I know it does timing, although its times are all wrong. But because I need to set the clock probably before I start. But yeah, that one was.
Shame you didn't ask me. I would have steered you to the Garmin.
Oh, there you go. What was it? The camera it made it seem like it was giving me all kinds of trouble on that trip. So that's why there's a number of places where I turn off to do a camera equipment check. I was just making sure it was still recording, or the battery wasn't run down, or I was running out of space. And so the LCD screen is not reliable. Apparently when it's recording, it just kind of freezes all the data. It shows me image moving, but that's not helpful for battery. And like, it would show me 37% battery, and then when I stop the recording, oh, it's at 90% battery. Oh, okay, so that's what it actually is. That's good to know. It apparently didn't charge at all the way down. Like, I had it plugged in from Fresno, and it didn't charge at all from that point. Thankfully, it had 100% battery. all the way down to that AM/PM. The timing was amazingly appropriate though. I pulled into that AM/PM, and my intention was to check the camera after that at that point. So I pulled the AM/PM, I get out and I go to get a soda, and sometime during me being in there to get a soda, it ran out of battery and died. And so I came back to discover, wait, it's off now. What the heck? And that's when I discovered that. So I got it charging appropriately, and so I have a better way to charge it now. But I've charged it through the thing I used this time, but I don't know if it wasn't in all the way or something. I don't know, but it did not. It almost was very, very bad. I'm glad I caught it the way I did. And then although it looked like it was giving me trouble, and that's why I stopped a few times, it never actually gave me trouble the rest of the time. So we had no
and this is why you left people on the 737 sim.
This is why what?
That's why you left the cable in the 737 sim.
Yeah, exactly. So the cable I have now actually is longer, which is nicer. So of course it cost me $14 at Target, but hey, whatever. Cost doing business.
You should have gone over to the Lost and Found, the hotel, and asked if they found one, because you may have been able to pick one up.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, it's very possible.
Yeah, I'm showing some strong cells about 20 miles south of the airport.
Got it. Hopefully our turn will keep us clear of that. We'll find out.
So. Boy, I don't know when I downloaded the Flight Beam Denver scenery, but it looks nice.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Alright, we're coming up to Mike 10 here. Or what I thought was Mike 10. It's actually, I guess, Charlie Sierra, but whatever. And Mike just changed into Victor.
I'm in position holding right now, so.
Alright, I'm coming up on the runway right now, so you might as well go, and I'll follow you.
Okay, fine.
Grape One, how's it going, man? Yes, it did. Thanks again for that book. That was awesome. I'm going to show them on the stream today once we're in the cruise here. Got a number of things to show people. But good to see you. Welcome back.
You talking to me?
No, sorry, I was talking to Al from Westwind. Grape One. He also gave me a book, so I got 2 books this weekend.
Show and tell.
That's right. That's what we're going to do. We're doing all the show and tell.
And I'm Erwin.
Alrighty, I'm about to roll. Landing lights on. And seatbelt signs on. Brakes RTO. Flaps are 10. LNAV, VNAV armed. Weather radar on. And we'll turn our traffic on as well. Not that I really need it, but there we go. And here we go. Takeoff power set. $80 knots. Gear up. Kramer, how's it going? Yeah, it's been a while. Welcome back to the stream, sir. Start our turn here. And climb power set. Two home runs, Kramer. Nice. Congratulations. Well done. I just passed 8,000, so no problem making our first restriction there. And flaps 5.
Does your radar show the storms?
No. Of course, maybe I'm just not zoomed out far enough. Plug it up here again a little bit. Flaps 1. Oh, there they are. Yep, just my range wasn't quite far enough. Yep, so it looks like I'm skirting them too. All right, we got our 10,000 foot restriction coming up here at the next waypoint, the Hoppy, I believe. I think it is. No, sorry, it's Hurdle. And Exodus or something is now following on Twitch. So welcome aboard, sir. I'm gonna rotate this up to our cruise altitude now, which is 340. Go ahead and activate that. Make sure VNAV path is doing its thing. There we go. I thought I saw you at FS Expo. I've been there a few times. Oh yeah, I was there. Did you talk to me or you just see me from afar? Because yeah, I was there. We're going to be talking about that today. Don't think we spoke. All right, well that's too bad. Maybe next time, but yeah, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you following. And we need to. That would help. Put our flaps up the rest of the way. Start paying attention. All right, so this thing is climbing up. Once we get up to cruise, then we will start talking FS Expo recap and all kinds of fun things. In fact, while this is on cruise here, I'm gonna send a few pictures to my computer and prep for that. Let's go with that one. No, we'll do it that one. Also, come on over to my taxi and turn off lights can go off. That's fuel, that's electrical. There we go, that's what I want to see. Double check, make sure our pressurization looks like it's working, and apparently it looks like it is. So that's good. Back to engine there. Cancel that FMC message. Parth, how's it going, man? Welcome back. You're just in time because we're just climbing up to cruise, and that's when we're going to start our discussion of Expo. So you're late, but you're not late. So there you go. That's off. So it's seatbelt signs off at this point. Again, not that we really have passengers, but you never know. Loadmaster wants to walk around. 34, yeah, okay. Coming up on transition altitude here in a second. We'll switch over to standard. Where are we? We just took off out of Denver, and we're flying up and over the Rocky Mountains at the moment. There's 18,000 feet. We'll switch over to standard. It's a whole whopping 0.1 on the on the barometer setting there. So a whole lot of different. Glad to see you're still here, Boeing manufacturer.
You set your clockable time, or are you just freewheeling?
No, it should be set to Zulu correctly. I'm showing 2 Zulu right now, which should be correct, right? 7 my time, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. Yeah, that should be right.
Yeah, it's about 0207.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a few minutes behind, but that's fine. It's all good. Extra good. What are you cruising at today, Tim?
I'm at flight level 340.
Okay.
What'd you pick?
340. Let's see, I do want to turn this on a little bit. Some light on the glare shield. Liven it up a bit.
To figure out what's going on, I got a really beautiful sunset.
Mine's getting there. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about the HDR lighting is it turns the sun down to this weird, like, almost pinpoint of light. It's my only complaint with the HDR. Nathaniel Graham, or sorry, not Nathaniel, Nathan Graham Aviation. Welcome to the stream, sir. Good to have you. Don't forget, guys, if you're just tuning in, to hit that like and subscribe button and check out my latest road trip video just posted from Fresno to Las Vegas. Leave that a like if you would. A number of you have already checked that out. I will be posting the return trip as well as my trip down to Los Angeles that will be taking place Friday morning, and then the return trip will be happening Saturday night. I did get the itinerary for the ZLA dinner finally, so we're going to be doing Friday Night Ops this week is LA. It's Los Angeles is the feature city, and so we're going to be doing we're going to be hosting that from the restaurant there in Santa Barbara. It's the Spitfire Grill, I think it is, at the Santa Monica Airport. Sorry, not Santa Barbara. At the Santa Monica Airport. So we're going to be doing that live from there. I will hopefully be controlling. I haven't been told if I'm controlling or not, but I'm planning on controlling for San Diego ground, or maybe it'll be Santa Ana ground. We'll see. It'll be one of those. But that's the plan.
San Diego.
What was that?
Let's hope San Diego.
Well, I hope so too, because I'm more familiar with it. So, but I'll let you guys know as soon as I know. I'll tweet that out. Nathan, go ahead with your question for the Westwind VA. And so that's going to happen there. And then Saturday afternoon, we'll be doing some plane spotting for lunch over at the In-N-Out. I'll basically be plane spotting all day because I'm down there. Why not? So I'll be there. I'll be there all day Friday, and then I'll be there during the day Saturday. Meeting up with them on Saturday afternoon at the In-N-Out right there at the park for plane spotting. And then dinner is at the Proud Bird over just east of the 25 runways. And we'll be doing dinner there, and then I'll be heading home because I got to be home for Sunday. So it'll be a fun little time to meet some of the LA RTAC guys. And I was hoping some of them were going to be there for Expo, but I was the only LA RTAC guy there for the VATSIM live event. So I'm glad I'm going to the ZLA dinner because I'll get to hopefully meet them there. So yeah, we'll hope for San Diego. I'll let you guys know. And we'll see how many of you guys we can get on there to fly out of San Diego or fly into San Diego, and I'll give you hopefully clearance and ground control. So, all right, we're passing 315 right now for 340 coming up on that, and then we will start our discussion of FS Expo. Get into the nitty-gritty of what it was like, what went down, what's coming up. Some of the stuff you will have obviously heard already if you've been watching some of the other guys' YouTube videos. Some people live stream some of the announcements. Some things I'll tell you were just stuff for me talking to vendors as I walked around. And then some of my experiences just with what the expo was like, what it was like meeting some people in real life for the first time. And yeah. Fart Loops, how's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. When I try to join, I need to download the CRJ, but I don't have SX. What should I do? Okay, so that's an excellent question. Yeah, so are you using P3D or are you using X-Plane, Nathan? Because that is a wonderful question, and I will be happy to get you an answer, because that's actually a question I posed to management at one point recently, and I don't remember exactly what the answer was. So, in fact, I might be able to look here in the. Let me check here in the forum and see if they answered that. Because if I can get you an answer to that question, I'd love to do that, and I'd love to know for my own edification what the answer to that question is. Anyway, all right, we're leveling off at 340. So we are now firmly established in cruise. We're just coming up to the end of the SID as well at Teru or whatever the name of that weird fix is, as we start on our journey toward Los Angeles. Come on. Okay, let's go down to the executive committee. I think that's where that took place. Okay, we'll worry about that later. Fleet sim. That's an old post. Hub conversion, no. Let's try. Let's keep looking here. Charter ops, submit access. I'm wondering if it's not in this thread, maybe in the training. I'm going to check that in a second if I can't see it here. Some members. New hire process. This might be what I'm looking for here. Oh, actually, maybe not. This might be. Oh, okay. So we never really got an answer because yeah, I see that came up as the thing. All right. So here's my recommendation to you. So, I will send Mark a notice that you're going to be attempting to join. So he'll be on the lookout for it. Basically, what we want you to do is don't worry about downloading the CRJ. Fly it in another aircraft that you have. Whatever the route. I think it's a route from. It used to be from somewhere to Denver or something like that, I think. Basically, what they're going to do, though, is they're going to ask you on the application certain frequencies that you encountered en route using the default ATC, which I believe in P3D still works. I think. Never actually tried it, so. Yeah, it does. So, so just make sure you have a note of those frequencies. When you submit your application, it's going to ask you what those frequencies were. That's just verifying that you did the check ride. And so I'll let them know that you're doing that. So that way, if the frequencies are off, that may give us a hint that we need to update these the information, because the guy that was looking into it is no longer with the company, and he never got back before he left. As far as the answer to that question. So hopefully that helps. Try it out. We'll keep an eye out for your application so it doesn't just get automatically rejected because you put the wrong frequency in. We'll know that there's some stuff going on, because we have to have answers for that for X-Plane as well anyway, and I don't know what the answer is. I'm not in charge of training. I'll try to get a hold of the guys that do and make sure we have a clear, definite answer for how we address that, because, yeah, it's not entirely clear right now, best I can tell. So there's that. Okay, so moving on, let's talk Expo. So this last weekend was the Flight Sim Expo, the first Expo, really. It's been a Flight Sim Con for the last 5 years or so. There was a little interesting splitting of differences and things, and so the Flight Sim Con is still happening next weekend, not this coming weekend, but it's not really the same. It's more of a home cockpit builders kind of a convention, it looks like to me, and I don't know how many people are going, but that's happening in Dallas. I'm not going, so I'm looking forward to hearing some accounts of people that do, what it was like, and I don't know if Flight Sim Con will ever happen again. It may just be Flight Sim Expo from here on out. So a couple of notes. First of all, it was in Las Vegas. It's the first time it's been outside of Windsor Locks, Connecticut, in the history of a Flight Sim Con event, from what I understand, of this type of event. So there are other Flight Sim get-togethers around different areas. There's one in Cosford, England, and some other places. But for the Flight Sim Con event, it's the first time it was outside of Connecticut. And it was very well attended. They sold out Saturday night. I don't know if they sold out Sunday night as well. My guess is no, but it was hopping. It's Vegas, so it's crazy anyway. But it was a full ballroom full of exhibitors, and then we also had a very large seminar room where we did various seminars and breakout sessions. Everything from new product announcements. Future of X-Plane, PMDG had a special announcement, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. A number of other people presented. They had one where it was a real-life airline pilot flies the sim, and that was Alaska Airlines first officer flying the 737 NGX. I'll talk about that. That was interesting. We had representatives from the National Air Traffic Control Association there just as a presence and giving information. We had people doing home cockpit building. We had a lot of the vendors like Flight Beam, Aerosoft, FS Dream Team. Let's see who else. TFDI was there.
Flight Elite.
FS Elite, Quality Wings. I mean, just you name it in the sim world, a lot of them were there, and so it's a great time to just kind of go around, kind of look at what they're kind of promoting is what's coming out next, and getting some previews and glimpses and getting excited about some things. And so I'll talk about some of those here in a second. So just kind of going down the list here, I'm just going to kind of take myself virtually through the exhibits of things that stood out, things that I remember, and talking to various vendors and seeing what's out there. So, for instance, FS Dream Team is there's two things on the horizon for them. Most of you are aware that Chicago is coming as far as scenery, and then also they're working on GSX-2, which will actually involve actual people. Like you'll see passengers coming out of the plane finally, which instead of just ghost passengers. So that's going to be kind of cool. Time frame on those, if I'm remembering correctly, I think they said it was going to be about GSX-2. They're looking at probably, I think, August, September-ish, somewhere late summer, end of summer, early fall. And then Chicago, I think, is slated to hit sometime October, November, something like that, as of right now. That could change, but that's what they're looking at right now. Flight Beam is getting ready to release Auckland scenery as well as Wellington. Wellington is going to hit first because Auckland is still under construction, like the actual airport is. And so they're going to be hitting Wellington first. That's coming out in the next few months. I think that's also kind of an August release tentatively. I don't know that there's actually a tentative release date for Auckland, just Wellington in August. But those two are coming from Flight Beam. They do amazing work, as you saw. We were in Denver. That was a Flight Beam airport. Boeing Manufacturer Audios. We'll see you later, man. You're about to lose patience with what? So that's happening there. TFDI is getting ready to release their 1.1 version finally out of beta, and they've set a date. It's going to be 7/17. So July 17th is their date for that. That will release the finally no longer beta version of the aircraft, but also the paint kit. So we can finally paint that thing in Westwind colors or any other colors for that matter, and do that. So that'll be awesome. I talked to them also about the flashing in the cockpit. They've been getting other reports of that, and they gave me some ideas of how to fix it. There are some possible easy solutions, so we'll be looking at that. It is caused by working with my OBS stuff. It doesn't do it when I'm just using it normally. So, but they have had other people experience that. It's a known issue. They are working on that, and they gave me some hints for how to fix it. So that's awesome. That's what I love about this thing is I can go up to developers and say, hey, I'm having this problem. Any suggestions? What do I do? And you're actually talking to somebody and they go, oh yeah, here's some things to try. Or hey, I'd really like to see this. Is that something that's possible in the future? Oh, you know what? We're actually looking at that. Who knows? So some cool things there. Sticking with the scenery aspect of it, FS Elite, some of you may be familiar with Patrick over at the Flight Sim Deck. Got to meet him. A real cool guy. And their company is working on something called Directory, not spelled out the same way. But it's basically going to be a giant scenery directory for what scenery is out there in the world for various sims and from various developers and their current prices. So it's going to query the various sites constantly. So there will be constant updates. So if they go on sale, that'll be reflected. This is in early beta right now, and they're still working on getting more developers to sign on. So that's going to be something to watch out for. That'll be a cool thing. If you're ever looking for scenery, you now will have basically a one-stop clearinghouse to find out what's available. You won't have to just go into Google and type in, Charlotte scenery for X-Plane and hope you can get a result. If it's not on directory, chances are it won't exist, at least not yet. this is going to be obviously payware developers, I'm assuming. I don't know how much freeware scenery will be listed on this site, but who knows? That could be something they go with down the line. I don't know. Let's see. Looking back, did get to talk to some very eccentric Australians, as Tim will attest to, that do. They have way too much time and yeah, they have way too much time and money on their hands, and they basically go down and they buy from boneyards full cockpits, and then cut them up and part them out for people that are doing home cockpit building for their sims. So it's pricey for the various components, but it's a good source of getting actual sim components if you're needing them. He has at his house in Australia an entire 747 cockpit. I was watching the footage with Patrick, the flight sim deck, and I commented to him, "Have you seen his home cockpit?" And his comment to me was, "Wait, that's not real. That's a home built." He thought he was looking at footage from inside an actual 747. That's how amazing it is. I would love to go down and play with that, but it's all the way in Australia, and that's a lot of time and money. So that's going to be for another time. But they're quite insane, the Australians. He's got a lot of little planes and likes flying these little planes across the Pacific for hours on end in real life. So, yeah, it just seems kind of insane to some of us to sit in a tiny little cockpit with headphones on for 16 hours and hope you don't drop off into the Pacific somewhere and never be seen again. But apparently that's what does it for the Australians, so good on them. They can do that, I guess.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate. So, yeah. VATSIM is working on a... Oh, dagnammit. Hang on. That's Chase Plane doing its thing. VATSIM is working on a new GUI for their thing. As many of you know, let me pull up what it is now. I'll show you guys. But I got to preview that. There, it's still obviously early on work in progress. So this is.
I talked to him when I was checking out. The guy was right behind me, so I was in line at the checkout. So he and I had a nice conversation about it. It looks like a very nice system.
Yeah, it does. And so right now, this is the map you get, and it's very functional. It works. The map they're working on looks very similar to kind of a Google Earth kind of a deal, but we'll have a lot of cool little features to it. And again, it's still very much a work in progress. But hey, Hawaii's online. What do you know? On a Wednesday night. And so yeah, so this is fantastic now. That'll be changing in the near future. Hopefully sooner or later. There's no release date for when that's going to be hitting as of yet because it's still very early on, but that's what they're working on. Let's see, going down the line here. I talked to the guys, Matt Davies' company, not Fly anything. Project Fly. It is Fly something, it's the other way around. Project Fly, and there's some cool things coming out there. I talked to him about the ability to add a virtual airline to the fleet status, so I don't have to just list Westwind as private. And they said, oh yeah, we can do that. You just have to shoot them a support email and say, hey, this is the airline to add, and send us the logo. And so I'll be getting them the stuff for Westwind so we can get that loaded in there and added to the Project Fly. But their new version 3, I think it is, their new client is already out somewhere. I need to go and play with that and get that all up, but it's getting ready to be full on. The version 2 is about to go away. Some cool new little features there from what he was telling me that's going to be coming with that, so we'll be looking for that. Quality Wings was there debuting their 787 for P3D, which we did on this channel already, so there's not really new news there. I didn't really get a chance to talk to any of the Quality Wings guys. They were already surrounded with people gawking over the 87, so that's what that is. Let's see, thinking about coming up that line there. Who else was over there? Active Sky is continuing to work toward weather for X-Plane, which we actually learned about last year at FlightSimCon, so I don't think there's anything really new there aside from they're still working on it. I missed the opening kind of products, new product announcements session because I was doing something else, which I will talk about here in just a little bit. And
I was
so,
there.
yeah, Tim was there, so you might be able to speak to that. What anything jump out at you from that?
Well, other than Stream Team talked their stuff. Pretty much everybody went down the row, what you were covering when you were walking through the exhibit hall, and they were each given about 10 minutes to do a dog and pony on their development, upcoming stuff. I didn't see anything that they were talking about was going to make me want to pull out my wallet, but again, most of the stuff that they were showing I already had bought. Interesting group of people there. Got to talk to some well-known streamers, which was really interesting. Jeff being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And had some really good interaction with the guy from X-Plane, whose lecture I think went over the top of pretty much everybody's head.
It usually does. It did last year too.
Yeah, he was out in fluid dynamics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. So we had a good sidebar conversation. Meyer,
Austin, yeah.
And then Dr. Rendozo from PMDG, had a great conversation with him. And his new product line's coming up. However, you didn't cover the bug splatter.
Yeah, no, I'm getting to that. I was saving that for the PMDG segment. No, you're fine. I'll talk about that in a second. In fact, I might as well talk about that now. So PMDG did their big announcement, and there's some. So let me preface this by saying, first of all, so this was the first time I got to meet some people that I either stream with or have seen on stream, really, for the most part. Like Tim just mentioned, I got to have lunch and hang out with a little bit with Jeff Faviano and kind of shoot the breeze with him a little bit, and Tim. Also, Tim being there, and Christopher Hood, who was the other guy that came from my streams, that basically the three of us kind of hung out for the most part for the weekend. And I got to say, it was just a lot of fun being able to hang out with the two of you. Tim especially, realized you are basically, I can see myself with your same sense of humor and spirit when I'm that age as well. So you're kind of like my spirit animal in that sense.
I don't even know where you're going, but you might have a different vector on this one.
Yeah, we're
it was you were a great wingman to have along, and we really had a great time. The highlight, of course, was the lead into the PMDG lecture. That was priceless.
Yeah, that's yeah. I was telling somebody else, my brother and I, that's our MO. That's our habit. We'll go into movies or events and stuff like that. If we're sitting together, we are basically hecklers. I mean, that's kind of what we do. It's not like to be mean-spirited, but it's too much fun. You just are laughing at other people's expense kind of thing, and the stuff that's going on and going wrong, and inevitably that happens to everybody. And I expect people to do that to me when I'm doing something as well. So, but Tim is that same person basically. So we got along famously and had way too much fun at the PMDG announcement, waiting for the AV Club to figure out what they were doing with regards to the technology. So PMDG, as everyone knows, for the most part, is the premier aircraft maker for flight sim. That's what this is. This is the PMDG 747 version 3. They are the gold standard when it comes to study level aircraft. And so whenever they have a big announcement to make, they're very close hold with their information. When they make an announcement, everybody pays attention. That seminar hall for the PMDG announcement packed out. And everybody's waiting with bated breath to see what's going on. I talked to Chili Willies, who was live streaming, and he hit like 700 viewers during that live stream that he did of that announcement at its peak. So everyone was very curious to see what they had to say. So they started off by talking about their 747-800, which is in beta, and some of the features that it's going to have with regards to its EFB, electronic flight bag, as well as just some of the other features of the aircraft, including kind of like TFDI has incorporated from FSFX packages the kind of rain effects and the true light. PMDG has got its own rain effects engine for use with the 747-8, and then also is going to be using a thing for ice accumulation on the windows. That's even simulated to the point where, if I turned off one of the window heaters, let's say I turned off this window heater here, I would see ice start to accumulate only on this window, while I would not see as much on the other windows because of the heater being off. So that's pretty cool. But then as a third thing they announced they're also kind of working on is a bug splatter add-on for their aircraft, so that you will actually get bug splatter on the windshield, and rain will actually wipe some of those off. I mean, it's kind of cool in that sense. It's kind of over the top, ridiculous. I mean, leave it to PMDG to go to the extreme, and like, what else can we make to make this realistic? But not only that, it's PMDG, so they don't do this lightly. It's not just, hey, let's add some bug splatter effects. They are going in and they're finding out what kind of bugs you can expect to see in what parts of the world and at what altitudes, and those are the bugs that are going to hit your windshield when you're in those parts of the world and at those altitudes. So it's PMDG level quality bug splat. So it's hilarious, and that's awesome. But that wasn't their big announcement. Their big announcement, as most of you know, is their global flight operations child that they've been kind of trying to birth for the last 10 years, I guess. And there's a lot of mixed reactions in the flight sim community. What the most interesting thing to me was walking out of that and going and talking and kind of just being a fly on the wall with listening to some of these guys talk about their reactions to the global flight operations thing that PMDG announced. And some people think it's really cool. Some people think it's really lame. Probably the most adverse reaction to it was kind of a letdown, because everyone really wanted them to announce what next plane they're working on, and they didn't do that. So, which also didn't really surprise me. They did hint, by the way, though, at a 737 version 2. So I'm wondering if that is going to be the max, basically, or if it's just going to be a like the 747 did with the version 3, if they're just going to redo and re-plus up the 737 that exists now. I don't know. They weren't clear. They didn't specify. So we are still left to wonder and guess. But there is something in regards to a 737 coming down the pike. The 747-800 is coming down the pike. Obviously, it's in beta. And that's really all we know with regard to that. But the big announcement was the global flight operation. So what that is, let me try and sum up as best what I can. If you took FS Economy, some of you might be familiar with that, and Project Fly, and mixed them together, took some things out and added some more things in, that's kind of what we're looking at with this global flight operations. Basically what they want to do is they want to do it to where similar to FS Economy, you would basically, there would be a set aircraft tail number. So let's say for this instance, this guy, this is November 435 Whiskey Charlie, according to the back of the aircraft there. So in this world, that aircraft would exist in the flight sim world. In order for me to fly it, I would have to go and rent it. Not rent it per se, but basically check it out, kind of like a library book. Once I do that, no one else can fly November 435 Whiskey Charlie. There may be other Westwind 747-400s available to fly at different end numbers, but that one is no longer available until I return it. And it's sitting at, and I don't know if they're going to do it like FS Economy, where it's sitting at a particular airport, and then once you take it to that other airport, that's where it has to be flown from. There's a lot of questions here. I don't know all the answers. But you would then take it and fly it, and then leave it for the next guy and check it back in. Now, what's cool about this, though, what's different than FS Economy, this is where it changes a little bit, is persistence. Now, there's already persistence that can be built into certain payware aircraft if it's written into the code. So like TFDI, for instance, you can turn persistence on, and what that means is the aircraft accumulates hours on it. Normally, if I was to take let's say the NGX, and I fly it from, let's say from Los Angeles to Denver, I put about 2 hours on that aircraft. But when I close the sim, that memory of that flight, all the pertinent things that surrounding you all go away. It's like your RAM in your computer. When you turn your computer off, the RAM is cleared. When I go to fly that from Denver to, say, Salt Lake City, the aircraft has 0 time on it. It's a brand new aircraft, just like out of the box. And it's like that every time you start the sim. Persistence keeps the time on the aircraft. So now there's 2 hours on that aircraft. When I fly it again, it adds another hour to it. All this helps build up basically a kind of a database on the aircraft, and will lead to failures. Failures happen over time, but the more hours that are on an aircraft, the older an aircraft, the more likely it is to have a failure. You don't have that. You can simulate that just randomly by a percentage, but now you would be able to simulate that a little more accurately by putting time on the aircraft. And with that persistence, the switches and the settings of whoever pilot left the aircraft last will be in the sim when you take the aircraft. So if Joe Schmo takes the 747 to LaGuardia to JFK and leaves the battery switch on, I would expect when I come into the sim to find that battery switch already on. Now, how they'll deal with issues like, well, that certain type of thing would have drained the battery down, and so that's built into the background. We'll see what they do with certain little variables like that. But it will mean for the first time, you will have to run a checklist to make sure all the switches are where they're supposed to be. Because right now, when I load up an aircraft cold and dark, I know where all the switches are and what they're supposed to be in. But I know there's certain switches I don't have to look at because I already know they're okay. They're in the position I expect to find them because I loaded the sim cold and dark. My communications panel, my comm panel, may not be set up correctly based on whoever flew the aircraft last. So I have to go through and make sure my comm panel is set up correctly. That's kind of cool. It adds a cool little dimension of the flight. I don't know if there will be, similar to FS Economy, any kind of economics built into that as well. There might be, there might not. It may be an option. I don't know. But that's kind of the idea behind this, is basically making it what PMDG, what Randazzo said, was what is missing in the sim right now is when we fly an aircraft, once we shut the sim down, the whole world of flight sim shuts down with it. What they're trying to do is make the world no longer a static thing. The world of flight sim continues on, and we just connect into it and use it and then disconnect from it. But the world of sim is a constantly moving entity. It's a constantly working world. And it has some ramifications for how certain people fly certain things. But obviously you don't have to use it either. It's it's an optional thing. But it could be really cool. So there's a lot of potential there. The other part of that was they're building in an ACARS program that will work natively with their products. So it would work down here in the actual ACARS CDU menu. That would give you weather information. It would give you gate assignments when you get down to the airport you're going to, based on the aircraft type, your livery, the airline you're flying for, or the similar codes, code share programs. The way he explained it was basically, hey, if you fly a 747 for cargo lux into, well, that's a bad example. Let's do a 737 for Delta into John F. Kennedy, let's say. It will look, first of all, for Delta gates that can handle a 737. If it can't find Delta gates, let's say Delta doesn't service JFK. I know they do, but let's say they did not. Then it'll look for gates that can service, or it'll look for code share gates. So other airlines that are part of SkyTeam that serve JFK. It'll send you to those gates that are 737 compatible. And if it can't find any gates that are code share or Delta, it'll just take you to a adequate 737 compatible gate. Or if there isn't even an adequate 737 gate, then it will just assign you to the ramp. So it's kind of a hierarchy of a tiered hierarchy to kind of determine your gate that way. But it gives you some cool things. You're not just randomly picking a gate, it's actually assigning you a gate, and you've got to go find it. So like I said, there's a lot of things that are kind of cool here. It does a lot of things that Project Fly does now, but it does a lot more than Project Fly does right now. So there's some crossover there. There's some things that maybe people like the simplicity of Project Fly, they'll stick with that. Some people are looking for the complexity of what this will be, they'll do that. The other big question, the elephant in the room, is we don't know what the cost is going to be. Is it going to be a subscription base? Is it going to be a one-time? Is it going to be a especially for VAs. This is really cool for VAs with regards to the ACAR systems and fleet stuff. Will it be something the VA has to purchase and pay for ongoing? Will it be a one-time thing? We just don't know. There's way too many questions. It's really just kind of an initial, hey, this is what we're looking at, this is what we're playing with. The cool thing, though, with regard to the ACAR stuff, is that this program will not just work with PMDG aircraft, it will work with any aircraft. So that implies that there will be some kind of standalone ACARS deal that can interact with any aircraft you fly and do that. So the other cool side of that is that they announced, because they're going to do all these different N-numbered planes to fill this world, they're going to need aircraft painters to be painting liveries for these aircraft. And as part of a kind of a give and take, they're thinking that because it's not fair to ask all these painters to contribute to their program and not get anything out of it, that if you paint aircraft for this, you will then have access for free to certain PMDG products. So I don't know how many aircraft you would have to paint for that to qualify and how that would work yet. Obviously, that was just kind of a general, hey, this is what we're thinking. But as an aircraft painter, my ears perk up and go, ooh, free PMDG stuff if I'm willing to paint some stuff for them. That sounds like a pretty good deal for me. So who knows? There's some cool options for that coming down the way. And yeah, Iowa Scotsman, I would agree with you. My money is on it's going to be a subscription-based type thing. The advantage to things like Project Fly right now is that's free. But again, it doesn't do what this will do. This will do a lot more. So yeah, it's mixed reactions. Matt Davies didn't look all that happy because he's the primary mover behind Project Fly, and this is kind of stepping on his toes. So yeah, I mean, that's the community for you. Kelsey, to your question, stream will go back to normal next week because this week I'm in LA for 2 days, and then next week we will go back to normal. By the way, FYI, guys, we're changing the stream schedule slightly. I will not be streaming on Thursdays anymore for the summer, basically, at least through the beginning of August. So I'll be streaming on Wednesday nights like I am now in lieu of Thursday nights. So Thursdays is moving to Wednesdays for the summer. I think we did that last year too. Because I'm teaching a financial peace class on Thursday nights, so obviously that would be a bit of a conflict. And so, yeah. So, but this will be the only stream this week because Friday, Saturday, I'm going to be in LA. Next week, we will be back to Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and it'll feel a lot more normal. We'll be doing more flying and the like. So that was the big announcement from PMDG. They started what Tim was alluding to with the heckling. They started their presentation with, or they attempted to start their presentation with a video of the 747 taxiing in, and there was some birds flying and lightning. It's kind of a cool little cinematic thing, but the video kept dying, like as it would start, like a bird would fly and then the video would die. Okay, and then we get two birds, then the video would die, and so me and Tim were just having a field day. We were having too much fun. We were cracking the people up around us, and at one point he yelled out, Freebird, and it doesn't make sense right now, but in context it was hilarious. About half the room erupted in laughter with that one. So
yeah, that woman in front of us just turned around and said, I stood up here listening to you and cracking up.
Yeah, exactly. So it was hilarious. We were having way too much fun at the expense of PMDG and them trying to get this thing set up. And then after all that, all it was a little video of the 747-8 taking off with some dramatic music. And we've all seen images and stuff of the 747-8 already. It wasn't like that was like ooh, this is coming, like we didn't know. I was kind of waiting for like some big reveal with that, and it really wasn't. It was kind of a lot of time taken for not a lot of necessity. It was just kind of funny. So, but yeah. Kelsey, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be doing that. Probably occasionally, but I don't know if we'll be doing it as often, like on Wednesdays, like it'll be exclusive. I just don't know. I'm kind of evaluating certain things. We'll see. What the heck? So anyway, so that was it was a super fun event, and oh, that's why I got it. Good job, Tim. Okay, and Tim texted me, and so I was just responding to that. The conference itself was a lot of fun. It was Saturday and Sunday. We did the VATSIM live event from the floor on Friday night with a number of other people. I was sitting next to a guy doing Nashua Tower. Next to me on the other side was a guy doing Albuquerque Center. Across from me was Minneapolis Center. There was just a number of different center and tower controllers around that were all providing support that night, and actually was able to light up the entire VATSIM map of the United States, including Hawaii and Alaska, completely. I mean, that just does not happen very often, so it was pretty cool to see. In fact, I'm going to send that photo over here too. I didn't include that, and I should have, because I took a picture of it just for this purpose, and I didn't include it. So what was I thinking? Let me see here. Share to my email. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great dinner Friday night with Chris and Moose and I wandered across the way to Caesar's Palace and went to their buffet, which was interesting.
It was very delicious, but it was very expensive. So
it was twice the lot was.
It was, what was that?
That was twice the cost I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought. Well, see, and that's the thing. When we walked past the kind of interim menu, I thought it said something about like $57 or $59 or something like that. And I was like, all right, I kind of expected that because it's Vegas. And then we got up there, it was like $75. I'm like, okay, guess we're gonna be eating until we can't move.
Yeah, we tried our best.
We did. Okay, that's
Didn't even include the alcohol.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It did include the seafood, thankfully, because if it didn't do that, that would have been really, because that's usually where the expense is. But oh, Jag, thank you for the $1 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't know that I've seen you on. I probably have seen you on the stream before. I just don't remember. But thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let me pull my email up over here. I'll pull in some pictures to show you guys. Email.
Are you going to talk about your Saturday morning adventure?
I will. That's going to be last here. Let's see here.
Didn't involve the police, which was good.
It did not, so that was good, because that would have been embarrassing. It is Vegas. So let's see here. Is there a better way to... Maybe. Let's try that.
Yeah, I guess there's a new version of the 727 out, or did it come out already for X-Plane?
The FlyJSim one? I don't know if it was already out or coming out. I wasn't clear on that either. Okay, so we'll move this over here. So here's the map of VATSIM, or from Vatastic, the night of the Live Up America. So you can see we got Hawaii on, we got Alaska on, all 50 states, even Toronto, Montcon, or whatever it's called, was up. Even Moncton, thank you. Even New York Oceanic was up, and Miami Oceanic was up. Like, everybody came online. And we had quite a bit of traffic going into Las Vegas. That was kind of one of the thicker points, as can be understood. But there's just traffic spread all over the country. So it was not really super heavy anywhere specifically because the entire country was lit up. So, but it was a lot of fun seeing that come to fruition and happen and actually have everyone heated up. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. Let me go over and show you some other images here. People I met. So this is... Whoops, nope, don't do that.
Yeah, David, by the way, we did cover the PMDG Global Flight. You must have just missed it.
Yeah, I just finished talking about that, actually. So this is my the view from my room, which was quite nice. So we stayed at the Flamingo Hotel. This is the fountain area in front of Bellagio, so I can see the fountains from my room, which is pretty cool. I was on the 24th floor. Very nice room. Actually had a TV in the mirror in the bathroom, because, you know, why not?
I didn't.
Yeah, Tim was in the other tower, so he must have been in the downgraded tower or something. I don't know what was up with that. But...
Yeah, and I paid for an upgraded room, too. I
really?
Have some discussions, yeah.
Yeah, you have to give them what for. So it's very nice. The Cosmopolitan over here. The Paris, obviously, you can see the top of the Eiffel Tower there. The Vegas version of the Eiffel Tower. I believe this was... I think this is Bally's right here across the way. So, yeah. Very nice view, very nice room. The The Flamingo did a very good job. The only thing they did not do well in my opinion, was the check-in process. I literally stood in a line for check-in for about 50 minutes. That's 50 minutes. And that's a cool image of the Colorado River going through there. Uh, and they had a giant counter of computer screens and 2 people working the check-in desk. They finally, when I was about the 5th person from the end, they finally started pulling us into the VIP check-in area, and that placated me, so I didn't give them what for. But that on a Friday afternoon in Vegas, 2 people for check-in, come on. I expect better than that. So, like I said,
What would you say the attendance was, by the way?
I don't know. I don't know what the sold out amount was, but I know according to the app, there were 900 and some odd people registered in the app. I don't know if that's the total number of registrants or if that's just the amount of people using the app. So I would say we're looking at least 900. It could have easily been more than that, but I don't know.
A lot of people there. We filled that ballroom up.
Exactly. It was a lot of people there. So it was definitely a good turnout. This is here's me with Tim, Captain Tim. This was at the Johnny. This is in the food court down at the Flamingo. Made sure we got a picture before we left. So a great time hanging out with this guy. I've got another picture of one with Chris too, but you'll see him in the video. I'm going to show you in a little bit. So we took a picture of all 3 of us. Yeah, in case you didn't know. Yes, I am wearing my Jaguars hat that day. I was wearing my Boeing hat the day before, and I thought I'd show the Jags some love. So yep. So that was a good time hanging out with you. Now on to the Saturday morning excursion. So. This is a huge shout out to Chris Hood, who I guess has been watching my streams for a while now, but he finally was able to kind of get my attention and chat a little bit with me on stream a few weeks ago, and basically said, "Hey, I've got an opportunity for you when we're in Vegas," because he's going too. And so I gave him my cell number so we could communicate by a text and call. Basically, he went and bought. In Vegas, there's a flight training area called Pan Am Flight Academy, and they have a number of level D flight simulators. They've got a 737 NGX, 800 NGX. They've got a 737-300. They actually don't have the 75 anymore. They sold it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. So they used to have the 7.5 simulator. They sold that one. I believe they used to have the 7.4 as well, because I remember looking a few years ago and that was an option, and it's not anymore. So I don't think they have that one anymore either. They do have a couple of MD-80 sims that are level D as well. And they actually have or had, I think they have, but they don't use it because there's with whoever actually physically owns it, there's some issue. 707 sim apparently, for whatever reason. So that's what the guy there was telling us anyway. So Chris bought 3 hours in the 737-300 level D. He tried to get the 800, but it was reserved by Aeromexico for the next 2 months doing some training. So and basically said, hey, I bought this time in the simulator. I've been thinking about who I want to come do this with, and I want you to come fly this with me. I watch your streams, and I think you do a really cool job of doing the airplane, and I think it'd be really cool to fly this with you. And I went, dude, I'm there. Level D simulator, never done a Level D before. I have done a non-motion 737 NGX cockpit before. It was basically like a home-built cockpit that a place in Anaheim did. It was using FSX as its engine to run. So it's basically still like flying FSX, just with all the switches and getting interactive with everything. The auto throttles didn't work, so you had to still do that manually. And so there were some differences, but it was still a really cool experience doing that. This is the real McCoy. This is as close to the 737-300 as you can get without being on the actual plane. So he offered, our time was from 8 to 11 Saturday morning. That's why I missed the new product announcement stuff. So I missed the very beginning of the expo, but it was worth it. So here is a outside view of the sim. I'm going to show you in a moment when it comes up. There it is, Pan Am International Flight Academy. That is the box we were in. So this is the door right here we go into. This bridge comes up so the whole thing could move on its legs. And then over here you can see the screens that are aiming down onto a mirror glass thing to provide the visuals. Now, the downside of the 300 is it's an older box, and as a result, the visuals are very rudimentary. So what we're seeing outside the window here in P3D puts that simulator to shame so fast. Like, it's not even close by comparison. There aren't even taxiway or runway signs. It's literally just concrete. It's like a rectangle of a terminal with a jetway, concrete, green for grass, and then the runway and runway lights. And then once you get in the air, you can't do VFR in this thing because there's just the visuals don't allow for it. It's an older sim. It wasn't designed to do that. It's designed to train you to use the instruments and land the plane once you can see the runway, basically. So we did that. We went in there. I let him do captain first because he paid for it. I was just deferring to him. This was his dime, so I didn't want to take over the thing by any stretch. If he offered, then that's fine by him. But so I sat in the FO seat. He sat in the captain seat, and we started by doing a little short hop from IAD, which is Dulles, Washington Dulles, to JFK, and so he flew the plane. I operated everything else. And let me tell you, it was really cool to sit in there and just go, I know where this stuff is, and just be able to just sit there and do it and know the flows. I had a little checklist that they gave me, so I knew what I needed to double check for. There was only a one or two items that I had to ask, be like, wait, where is this in this aircraft? Because I'm not that familiar with the 300. They did move a few little things around compared to the NGX. And obviously you don't have the big CRT screens like you have in the NGX. It's more little small guys for the... oh, yeah, there we go again. Hey. Oh, I know why. I wasn't clicked on it. That's why the mouse wasn't working. So there's a few little differences here and there, but for the most part, it was exactly what I'm used to. So it was just about feeling the aircraft, being able to feel the acceleration as the box tips back to give that feel. And it was just super cool. So what I have is I didn't do this for when I was doing first officer. So once we got to New York, we swapped seats, and he just started. I think for the first one, he just started the sim at back at altitude, and allowed me to take the aircraft down and try to land it, just so I get a feel for the aircraft. Because Tim had already landed, not Tim, Chris had already landed it once, so this way I got a feel for it. And then I did some pattern stuff just at JFK in different weather, because compared to Chris, Chris is relatively newer to the flight sim stuff, so he's not nearly as competent as to where things are or what the flows are, and that's fine. He still did, all things considered, considering his skill level, his native skill level, he did a pretty good job until the last landing, and I'll show you that, where we hit really hard. But so I did that, and then we took a break because those two had to use the restroom, and so we took that opportunity to I took that time to set up the GoPro, or try to set up the GoPro. It did not stick to anything in that cockpit. It did, but it would fall off later, and it was just weird. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this video that I have and show you guys. And to do that, I'm going to click off of this so we don't have the... let's see here. All right, so the audio is really low because the GoPro doesn't do a good job of picking audio up, so I'm going to kind of narrate what's going on here for you, and I'll be skipping around ahead. The video itself is like an hour and a half long. I'm not going to obviously have you guys watch the whole thing because we don't have that kind of time. That's me trying to adjust the rudder pedals because I'm tall, and so I had to do that. There's also a good amount of time of me trying to fix the seat elevation because... actually, I do want to check something here and make sure something is showing. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're going to change this here because you can't see me. There we go. Okay. So, yeah. So now you can see. I took the camera off because it was blocking part of the view. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so there is a... little handle over on the side of the seat that I'm trying to maneuver, and it wasn't working out for me. So I'm going to skip ahead because that took a while. What is funny, though, actually somewhere right around here, I looked back at the GoPro to check and make sure it's still sticking, and it literally falls off the wall as I look at it. So it'll be just a second here after I get my seatbelt fastened. And it's just like, really? Because it was falling off of everything. I thought I finally found a spot. I go back to look and see the GoPro, and it just falls on its own. There's Mike, our trainer, looking at the now defunct GoPro. So we just picked it up and I had Chris hold it. Actually, I started holding it at first while I'm trying to get it situated for him. But you can see the controls a little more rudimentary than the NGX. You've got just the two little screens here, and then it's all steam gauges. The FMC is basically what you see in the NGX. It's very similar, and it wasn't because of the movement at all. It was it just wouldn't. We weren't moving at all at this point. It just wouldn't stick. Period. In my car, it is solid as a rock, and it's shaking all over the place. This thing, it's just the surfaces it wouldn't stick to. So
Probably more people have sweated in that box than your car.
yeah, probably. No one sweats in my car because the air conditioning is really nice.
I rest my meat.
Exactly. So let's see here. I'm gonna. Looks like this is where we start. The because he was throwing me into the sim just kind of happenstancely. We didn't really set up the FMC completely, and so the auto throttle you'll see right there wasn't working until we got into altitude. And so I played with it for a second, and I'm just like, you know what, screw it, I can do this myself. So I'll just run it up manually. Watch the EPR gauge there, and so this is runway 4 right at JFK. You can see the visuals are very rudimentary. There's no terminal. It's just green grass and runway. So Chris is holding the camera over on the FO side. And this is my first rollout with this thing, so I'm kind of getting used to whether or not to use the tiller or the rudders at this point. I did discover that the rudders were much better to use once you were rolling down the runway than it was the tiller. So I had my hand over there, but I basically was just using the rudders to steer the aircraft. You get about, I think it's 5 degrees of travel with the nose wheel. Or
9 degrees.
Oh, 9 degrees, there it is. So 9 degrees of travel with the rudder on the nose wheel when you're on the ground. But the tiller will give you like a huge amount. It's like 160 degrees of travel or some nonsense.
It'll crank right around.
Yeah. So we get up there, and I have him calling out. I left the autopilot off up until we got established up at... I turned us around for a little bit, and then I finally turned the autopilot on just to get us back around. And I think at this point, this is visual... No, yeah, so once we got up there, he turned on the inclement weather, basically reducing the visibility down to 1 mile visibility. So I am using the automation here to get the ILS figured out, but I will be landing manually with the ILS. I'm disconnect the autopilot. I'll show you. Let me jump up here a little bit to where we are. Oh, there we go. So the autopilot is off. You can see this says FD. So we're in command. It is just flight director. It's not command CMD. So I'm flying manually, doing my best to find the runway without any visual outside because I'm just watching that. So it wasn't the greatest approach in the world. As you can see, I'm off the glide slope. But once I get within range of the runway, it gets a lot better. So there's the runway now. You can kind of see coming in. So it's not too shabby.
Minimums. Landing. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
There we go. Nice.
Sad on that one.
Nice solid landing there. And we brought reversers in and came to a stop. So the next one, he then asks if I want to do a V1 cut, which let me preface with this real quick. So I'm going to stop it here. Pause. So when we first were in here, he told us there were a couple options. He showed us the options of what we had of different scenarios they can run us through aside from just taking the aircraft and flying it around. One of them was a V1 cut, and when he was showing us on the thing, I got the impression for his phraseology that it meant a engine cut just before V1. So basically, the idea is you actually will pull the power back and try to stop the airplane, and keep it straight on the runway after losing an engine, but before your stop-go speed. That is not what that means. V1 cut is an engine cut right after V1, so you have to take the aircraft into the air and deal with it. So because I knew we were doing V1 cut, I was preparing myself for the emergency I thought I was going to get, which was kind of cool because then I got a different emergency, so I was really unexpected what emergency I was getting, which was kind of cool. So what happens here is I'm going to lose engine 1 and right after V1 and then react to it. By the way, I want to preface this. He left the weather on, so I don't remember what the winds were doing, if they were doing anything. I think they were. I think that we had wind. I don't remember what it was. But we also had 1 mile visibility. And so in an engine out situation, I elected to leave the autopilot off. I hand flew the thing all the way around with using the ILS, no automation, and brought it back down. It was sketchy all the way, especially going through the no visibility. But I think it ended up being a cool result. So we'll go ahead and play the takeoff here. We're at flaps 5. And I'll go ahead and put this video up on YouTube in its entirety, so if you guys want to watch the whole thing, you can. Again, the audio is really low quality, so it's hard to tell what anybody's saying even when I'm talking. But so there's V1. Oh, there goes my engine. So you can see I immediately start slewing off the side. I am already airborne, but it was just immediately off to the side because you got the asymmetric thrust going on. So, and I was trying to keep the aircraft kind of low in its attitude to not stall. So it was kind of funny. I was asking Tim to confirm Chris to confirm what engine I had lost, and he wasn't exactly sure how to do that. So I ended up having to look over and go, "Yep, it is engine 1. I see the gauges are such that we can confirm." So there I am asking for vectors back to runway 4 right to return to the field. Oop. Hang on a second. Let me fix that. Not that. Yeah, back to that. Okay, so this is going to be me flying around in no visibility for a little bit, so I'm going to get back to where we can actually get to the landing, because that's the best part. Oop. Get under 1,000 feet here. Okay, we'll start from right there. So basically on glide slope and a little off the localizer, it was really hard holding this thing. I kept overshooting the localizer back and forth because I was trying to overcompensate for the engine out. I had my foot on the rudder pedal really hard for most of this, trying to keep the asymmetry under control, but it still was really squirrely on me. And with no visual reference out the window and not using the automation, it was really a task to try and keep this thing somewhat lined up with the runway. So,
Sync rate. Sync rate.
again, this is why these guys practice this all the time. Yeah, this would qualify as a really bad approach, and you'll see that in a second. But the landing is cool. So you see there now I'm going up above the glide slope there.
Too low. Terrain. Minimum.
So there we go. See, very far off the center line. But
Terrain.
and again, this is one engine out,
Terrain.
and this thing was just so responsive with the rudder.
Terrain.
Zoom it in, and
Terrain. 10.
it floated a bit because I was trying to compensate to get it centered, and then boom, there it is. So considering the engine out and the visibility, I'm like, that was pretty acceptable for me. Now, what I didn't do, I didn't engage the reverse because I was thinking, if one engine out, I don't want to have that nightmare. And so, but I also didn't have the auto brake turned up nearly enough. So right here, I cranked on the brakes because we were running out of runway, and we all just really flew forward. You saw Chris kind of go forward with the GoPro there. So it was a really hard stop at the end, but yeah, no, we didn't die. That was, yeah, the tires were definitely smoked. We probably would pop some. So that was holding on to that yoke and controlling and all the inputs. That thing is heavy too. So that was a workout. Tim then took, Tim, I keep saying Tim. Chris then took it, and he did full automation all the way down to where he could, like, just before the runway, and then took over control. But the landing did not go well, and I will show you that now. It was pretty funny. Let's see here.
That's why I love flying the sim with the airline, is you get to kind of show off your skills. There are guys who dread it, and there are guys who love it.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. So he just killed the autopilot, so he's now in control. So he's already established, and now it's all him. This is Chris landing. I'm holding the GoPro, and so he's flying from the FO seat now.
Minimums.
So I tell him to drop the nose a bit because he's a bit high, but he doesn't bring the nose back up.
50, 40, 30. Sink rate.
Ow!
That hurt. Carrier landing.
So he refers to it as a carrier landing, which is pretty hilarious, but yeah, that was a hard landing. We felt that one in the sim. Oh, man.
That kills.
So that was the last one we did.
Playing big time, man. Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a good time. So, let me see. There's a shot here of, that's just me talking. There's one here where we kind of show the trainer guy Mike back here. Trying to see where that is. I think that was when we were at cruise. Oh yeah. So there's Mike, the trainer. Here's his control screen back here. So yeah, it was a super fun experience. And the only thing that would have made it better would have been the having the better visuals, but it was still an awesome time. And oh goody, we're just getting ready to come up on top of the descent. What good timing. So I was hoping we didn't did pass that in our time of doing that. Let me turn the camera stuff back on there for you guys. So yeah, so that was the weekend. It started out with the road trip down to Las Vegas, which I love road trips. I love driving. It's just fun for me. So that was fun in itself. We had the VATSIM event that night that I got to participate in. I got to meet for the first time in person Captain Tim. It was an honor to meet you and be able to hang out with you and just kind of glean some more of your aviation stories.
Did you get a book?
And I got a book. That's the other thing I was just remembering as I was talking about this. So Tim greeted me at the hotel with a birthday gift, and I'm gonna hold it up here, and hopefully that shows on camera there. This is called Everything Explained for the professional pilot. It's basically a kind of a not layman's term, that's probably the wrong word, but a much better explanation of the FAR AIM book, the regulations. But it's all kinds of stuff. I mean, everything you want to know about airspace, about pattern intercepting, about weather. I mean, it's all in here, and it's very well written. It's got a little bit of humor to it. So you have a question, you can look it up in this book and go, oh yeah, that's how we do that. So I'm going to be poring over this over the next few weeks to glean what I don't already know. And so that's really cool. So a big thank you to Tim for that. But then Al, also known as Grape One here on the stream, messaged me before FlightSim Expo and said he had an extra copy of the 747-400 Pilot Handbook by Mike Ray, and that came in the mail yesterday. So that is this guy right here. And this is another one that's also well written. It's kind of just gives you good tips and tricks for flying the 7.4. And tells you everything from how to operate all switches to the FMC to procedures, the whole gamut. I got to meet Mike Ray actually at the Expo. He was there, and I'm glad you had said you were sending this to me beforehand, because he asked me. He said, "Hey, what would you want?" And I said, "Well, because I already got the 747 one coming to me, he's supposed to be sending me the PDF version of the 757, 767 book. So." That'll be cool to get. So, yeah, this is a cool book, especially if you're not sure on how to fly some of the aircraft, this is a great book. It's
One
yeah,
thing to point out about Mike Ray's work is Mike Ray is former United Airlines,
yes,
and his books were originally written for United Airlines pilots who were going into the actual sims to fly. So it's not written. His original work was not written for the PC crowd. It was written for the actual line pilots. So
correct.
it's really well done if you're using a PMDG.
Yeah, yeah. If you're using stuff that's very very basic, then it probably won't be of much help to you. But if you're using PMDG aircraft or similar study level aircraft, it is a fantastic book. So I've already been pawing through both of those with eager anticipation. So big thanks to both you guys, Tim and Al, for those books.
Actually, we had Mike Ray at breakfast.
Yes, we did. We ran. That's funny. That's true. We ran into Mike Ray at breakfast on Sunday, and then we ran into him again. We saw him at the expo itself. So, but yeah. Let me see. I'm just looking at my approach chart here real quick.
Sunday speakers.
That's right. I didn't. Give me 1 second. Let me double check my altitudes here. Between that and that, our final down is at 12,000. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm doing, essentially.
Yeah, actually, on Sunday, we heard some very, very good speakers.
Yeah. So, so the first thing we did on Sunday, they had an airline pilot flies the sim, and that was a guy from Alaska Airlines, the first officer for Alaska Airlines. I would assume because of Alaska's fleet, I think he flies the 737 in the real world, but he's never flown the PMDG 737 in prepared. He flies X-plane normally. So he prefaced that by saying he hadn't flown the PMDG 737 until an hour before on P3D. So that was kind of like, oh boy, here we go. And then he was using a GoFlight panel that has the throttles and the gear thing and the flaps and the stuff. But the flap thing, for some reason, was backwards, and the gear lever had broken off because it was used in the exposition. It got worked to death, and someone probably snapped it off. So there were a number of little idiosyncrasies there. So there was some more heckling that was going on between me and Tim watching this. But he did overall, he did an okay job of explaining kind of the general procedures that he as an airline captain would use, and doing that. He just did a flight from Las Vegas to LAX. The best part though was he landed it and didn't notice one of the engines didn't go into reverse, so probably because of the throttle quadrant something set up, and so he was a bit skewy on the taxiway. So he finally just put it down and stopped. And then he got up to talk to us. Well, he didn't put a parking brake on, didn't make sure the engine thrust was idle, and so it started just taxiing across the field toward the terminals at LAX. And we're in the room going, brakes? And he couldn't get the brake turned on because he didn't know what the brake switch was. So finally, Matt Bartell had to reach over and just hit the pause button. So it was it was a little bit of a disaster, but it was funny.
Yeah, I wish I'd gone up.
Yeah, he had one of the guys, he asked if someone wanted to come play captain with him, and so one of the guys in the row in front of us went up and did that. And but he wasn't very assertive, so that didn't really help things very much. So let's see here. I'm looking over here at chat because a lot of things are going on. I just want to, will you be upgraded to tower? So that's the next thing. Next step in the VATSIM training is actually ground for LAX. And then I can control all ground stations. Right now I'm limited to just the one Class B airport and any non-Class B airport. So that'll be the next one. And now that Flight Sim Expo is behind me, I'm going to do some studying to get ready to take that test so I can do that. So, okay. So then after that, we had what was the speaker after that? It was
the Crazy Oz guy, wasn't it?
No, he was. I think he was Saturday. He was set. There was who?
Excuse me, I'm having a mushroom. John Cox,
That's who it was. Yeah, that's who it was. John Cox. So you might have seen him before if you ever watched the show Air Disasters. He was also on the 60 Minutes special on the disappearance of MH370, kind of proposing some theories on what we all just kind of wonder may have happened. Nobody really knows. But he did a talk about aviation and the history of simulators and their effect on aviation safety and what that's done for the actual aviation world. And it was really interesting to listen to him, especially because he's got a much he comes from an older background of where it's been when he was learning to fly versus what it is now, and some takes. So I didn't say anything about you, so just anyway, so it was really cool, interesting listening to him. We ended up we ended up leaving at that point and kind of walking the floor again and talking to some people. Went back in and listened to Aerosoft because I wanted to hear what they had to say. Well, the guy, first of all, when you think of people that'll put you to sleep, he's like the Bueller kind of, Bueller. It was so hard staying away listening to him, and he wasn't talking about new products until about 30 seconds at the end. It was all a history of Aerosoft, which I don't care about. So that was kind of a letdown as far as a speakership goes. And then Derek Vento and I don't know the other guy's name, but it's another actual real-world air traffic controller. Derek Vento actually is a streamer. You may have seen some of his streams. He's an African-American guy. He does control Tracon in Atlanta in real life, and then he also controls on VATSIM and does some flight sim videos as well. So, but yeah, so he was cool to listen to, and it was his take on kind of going from VATSIM into the real world of controlling, and what the crossovers are, what the similarities are, what the differences are. And it was just an interesting talk. That was really the end of the conference at that point. He was the last speaker, and then me, Tim, and Chris went and got lunch for the last time before I had to head out to drive back to Fresno because I had to get back before midnight. So yeah. So anyway, it was a fantastic experience. It was orders of magnitude better than even the one in Connecticut. The only thing I missed from the Connecticut one was the fact that I had to actually fly to get there. That actually was part of the fun for me. So I didn't get to do that this time. I drove. So, but that's fun for me too. So it's not like it was a letdown. But it's fun being around fellow flight simmers, fellow streamers. Got to meet a whole lot of people. Oh, I almost forgot. For those of you who here knows who Air Force Proud 95 is. I would assume some of you know who he is. Pretty famous streamer. And he was there as well. And I ran into him. So we actually had a nice little conversation about aviation and what he's been up to and stuff like that. So it was cool to meet him. Really super nice guy. And so I got a picture with him. My friend here really is a fan of his, so I knew I had to get a picture for him anyway. So I'm not one for getting pictures with all these people necessarily, but certain people it's worth it to do. So yeah, so I got to meet Air Force Proud and talk to him. Illuminati confirmed. So.
Well, I was impressed with Jeff when because we're sitting in the food court and at the table next to him, and his buds got up and kind of wandered off to do whatever, and he just pulled his chair over, and we just had a great conversation.
Yeah, Jeff Fabiano, by the way, is who you're referring to. You may know he does a lot of Grand Theft Auto streams, but he's also done a lot of flight sim streams in the past too, and occasionally does flight sim streams still too. So yeah, no, he was great to talk to. Real, again, a lot of these guys you see, they're super nice, super down to earth. Especially if you get talking on a topic that they're interested in, and you can just talk to them for hours. Is great. So, yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I so encourage anyone that is into flight sim, if you have the means and the time to be able to go to one of these conferences, do it. It is so worth it. You get to meet a whole bunch of cool people. You just get to be around the flight sim. You're around a whole bunch of people that share your passion, and there's really nothing to be said. There's not enough that can be said for that. The nature of this hobby is that we're all off in our own little world, and our only connection to each other is doing things like this, like streaming and being together on a stream or VATSIM, but we're disconnected from each other. When you get to see each other in person and get to, you get 1,000 people in a room that are all passionately into flight sim and can nerd out on this, and you don't look weird for knowing what your local airport's KO code is. There's something to be said for that. And so, and it runs the gamut. You get people from all walks of life. There were kids there. There were teenagers, adults in their all the way through to elderly guys. So I mean, really old guys, not guys that you wouldn't expect would know how to use a computer. I'm not talking about you, Tim. I'm talking about older than you. Guys that you would think don't even use computers. Like, they're into flight sim. I mean, they grew up with this, and now this is how they can live that passion. So it's really cool. And then you get guys that are, don't know anything about aviation, but they think flight sim's cool, all the way to guys like Tim who are actual pilots for the airlines, and he's going around talking to guys and saying, hey, I can help give you some tips on this because I do this in the real world. I'm a check captain for such and such, and it's cool to be able to, people are just they're desiring to share their knowledge and desiring to glean knowledge, and that's what this community is about. This simulation, it's not just a game. It is a simulator, and it's about learning. And so you have a chance like this to really glean from other people and really learn. It is an awesome experience. So next year, we don't know where it's going to be. I talked to Phil Coyle, who is one of the two guys that put this on, and basically said to me, it's probably not going to be in Vegas next year. It's probably not going to be on the West Coast next year. It's probably going to be back on the East Coast. I think from talking to him, what they want to do, and I think it's smart, is to kind of hop back and forth and kind of show different regions of the country some love to try and give as many people opportunity to get engaged with this as they can, because not everyone can afford to fly across the country and do that. So next year, I don't know. There's no rumor yet from anything that I've seen other than wild speculation as to where it might be. My guess would be if it goes to the East Coast next year, it could be somewhere down toward Atlanta, Florida area, just because for so long it was up in the Northeast area. So I could see them going to the East Coast and kind of showing the South there some love. But really, it's just wild speculation at this point. We have no idea. So
I'd love to see Delta hosted at their museum.
Wouldn't that be cool? That would be cool. So so keep it on your calendars. It will probably be a similar time next year. So this is when you can start planning. It'll probably be beginning of June, beginning mid-June weekend next year. No one knows where, but you can start planning now. Start saving now. The cost of the conference itself is only like $70, $50 to $70. It's going to be the cost of airfare and hotel, depending on where it is. That will be the determining factor for a lot of people. So, and food if you go to a buffet. Don't worry, I'm not doing the buffet anymore. I got my one and done.
Amen, brother.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, and it was my experience. I came out of Chicago and went down through Atlanta and then flew to Vegas. And as things are with me and flying for recreation, we hit a thunderstorm that closed the ramp at O'Hare, so we were delayed as United all pushed and backed up the alley. Finally, we pushed, got down to runway 22 left, and we were number 2, finally. And wouldn't you know, we had a wind shift that really caused everybody to do a 180. So instead of being number 2 for takeoff, we were number 18, which was, been there, done that, but, it is what it is. Just, there's nothing you do about it. So finally got down to Atlanta, and luckily the gates were within about 5 of each other on the same concourse, so I trotted down there to see them unhooking the tug so my flight could taxi out. And compliments to Delta for getting me on the next flight out. And then we had the routing from, I don't know what orifice it came out of, but we took off from Atlanta, headed straight to New Orleans. Now understand, normally on the Atlanta Vegas run, you do pretty much a straight shot. But we went down to New Orleans, out over the Gulf. We got feet dry just by Houston, Corpus Christi. Kept going down to San Antonio, paralleled the Mexican border, then cut up north, south of Abim, Albuquerque, and north of Phoenix on into Vegas. So I got in relatively late, and then luckily they had more than just 2 people checking people in when I showed up at the thing. But so I'm talking to the girl, and I said, "Where's the conference at?" And she said, "Well, it's in the conference center." And due to the heat, your best bet was to take Uber. And I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "I thought it was, you know." She said, "No, it's in the conference area." I'm like, "Okay."
Which was a lie.
So luckily, luckily, Moose texted me after I got to my room, which was all the way up on the 21st floor on the Habitat side, all the way at the end, all the way. So you know, every time I had to hike to the room and hoof it back, it was an expedition. But Moose straightened me out. I had to come down one elevator, cross the casino, which is interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
And then jump in the elevator and go up to 3, and which is where the conference is at. It was a beautiful room for the ballroom for the lectures, and the hall had we had 3 aisles, and it was just stuffed with people and simulators, and Redbird was there, Redbird, and Milviz, some of the other people that we, the 7.2 and the 737 from X-Plane was there.
Yeah, FlyJSim.
That was
FlyJSim.
Yeah, FlyJSim, that's it. Yeah, and they have an excellent sim.
Yeah. And they have, by the way, guys, just so you get a feel for what this is like, they'll have simulators set up all over the place in this room, so you can try out these products. I mean, I got to try out the 787 last year at the conference. I got to try out the TFDI 717 last year. I flew it again this year just because it was there, and I got Flight Sim Deck sitting behind me critiquing my landing as I'm flying the 717 there for TFDI. But I mean, all these aircraft, FlyJSim, they've got their 737 and 727 computers set up so you can fly either one of them. And another guy had like 3 big sims set up to demonstrate this combat flight simulator thing he was promoting. And I mean, just all over the place. It's a lot of, not just a lot of looking around, it's a lot of try it out and see what you like. And
yeah, the IL-2 guys were there.
Yeah, IL-2, that's what it is. Yeah.
And then another thing, Moose and I were standing around, loitering, in front of the TFDI 717, and we asked them about shared cockpit, and we learned quite a bit at that moment that we're hoping to implement real quickly here.
Exactly. So, yeah, there's some cool things coming out, and even FlyJSim, it says they're working on shared cockpit with their products now too. Their 737 and 727. So more reason for me to get into X-Plane and get that going. So hopefully by the time they get that running, we can do that too. But yeah, there's a lot of cool. That's really the cool thing about it is you go around and you just start shooting the breeze with some of these vendors and saying, hey, what do you got that's new, or what are you guys working on? And you're not waiting for a product announcement. You can talk with these guys and say, yeah, we're doing this, and we don't know if this is going to work, but we're trying to do this, and we're working on that, and this is what we think is going to be cool in the future. And you come away from this conference going, you know what? There's some really cool things to look forward to in the flight sim community that's not out yet, but it's something to look forward to. And like right now, I'm looking forward for the 748 in particular. I'm looking forward to some new scenery from Flight Beam and FS Dream Team. Looking forward to 717 being officially released into non-beta, the actual version in July here now, and you just get some cool experience of talking to these guys, and they get to hear from you. That's the other thing too. This really is a chance to air out some of your grievances or some of the things you're really looking for in a sim, because they hear that and they take that back with them and they go, okay, you know what, we talk to these people and a lot of people are clamoring for this, or you know, we never thought of this before, but this would be really cool and maybe we can implement this because certain people are asking for it. It's a really cool opportunity to be able to hobnob with these guys and see what's going on in that world. So
And also, when you're talking to these guys, they'll kind of give you backdoor information, which we can't talk about. But
Right.
Moose and I both have a very big surprise. And,
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
That we cannot talk about, unfortunately, but yes.
Yeah, we can't tell you about it, but it was one captain to another.
Yep.
And but some of the other stuff that we saw was just truly incredible, and also the sharing of experiences and getting ideas on how to tweak your sim settings and actually get them to work.
Right.
I know Moose spent some time with Chris getting his system wired and dialed in, and I'm sure Chris appreciated that. I got Chris a hat. He seemed excited about that for some reason. Hey, he was happy. Actually, he did invite me to go to the sim session, but hey, I've flown the boxes for many, many years, so I've been there, done that. But and so I figured it would be better spent on Moose and Chris to really have a good workout. Besides that, I would feel obligated to sit behind Moose with the clipboard
And smack me on the head, yeah.
smack me on the back of the head. But sad.
Yeah, exactly.
And as we alluded to earlier, Moose and I together, it was just a great teaming of intellectual stimulation.
Yes, that's one way to put it.
That's one way to put it. But any event like this, it's how you make it.
It is. It absolutely is, and it's amazing. I mean, last year. So for me, my experience in this last time, last year I went for the first time by myself. Didn't know anybody there that was going, and so I had no connections prior to going in there, and it took a while. I'm an introvert by nature. I mean, I may not come off that way on the stream, and when I'm out in public, I may not come off that way very much because I hide it kind of well. I can deal with people pretty well, but I'm ultimately an introvert. If you put me in my room by myself, I'm perfectly happy. But so being that I'm that person, going to a conference like this by yourself and not knowing anybody, and it's a little hard to kind of break into and kind of like get yourself into a situation where you can kind of start to form some relationships. And I did that last year. It just took a little bit of time before I felt comfortable kind of just because I'd never been to something like this before. So having that prior experience, then going to this one and already knowing and kind of knowing how that works, I was in there networking. I had my business cards from the Flying Moose, and I was talking to random people, and if they struck up a conversation with me, that conversation with me ended with me handing me my card and say, hey, check out my streams, and or contact me if you got questions or whatever it is. And it was just kind of cool being able to kind of to put that out there. And I'm not a well-known streamer. I'm not Jeff Favignano. I'm not Matt Davies. I'm not Air Force Proud 95. No one's coming up to me going, "Oh, you're the Flying Moose." Someday that might be the case, but right now it's more me going up to them and saying, "Hey, by the way, I do this too." And that's an awkward feeling. You feel like you're selling something, even though you're not. You're giving it away, basically. But it's cool to have the freedom to be able to do that, and no one goes, "Oh, you stream flight sim? What?" And they're like, oh, that's cool. I'll have to check out your stuff and see what's going on there, because they're all into this too. So it's you're among friends, and I was able to.
It was. I didn't see any prima donnas other than me. But that just goes with the territory. But no, it was an excellent time with really good people who listened as well as talked and actually shared the interest and the affection for the hobby. By the way, I'm just descending through 6,000 now in final.
Yeah, I'm on 4,100.
Okay, and the whole experience, all the way from the flights out, and Vegas is incredible, just because you can watch people and there were people in the hotel. How do I put this? That were interesting in a Walmart kind of way.
Yeah.
So that got to be real interesting. And then, of course, anytime you're flying to or from Vegas, you never know what you're going to get on the airplane, and that was fun from a crew point. Had really great flights home on, what was I on? 737-900, which is a dog, and the A321, which I had a blast with. Of course, nice thing about me is I was flying first class, so had great meals, didn't drink, but actually had a good time with the cruise. So most for me it was mostly coke, smoke, and joke with the crew. I don't smoke, but otherwise it was a good time. Got some flight deck time talking to 717 guys. Flew me from Atlanta to or from Chicago to Atlanta. So we were discussing the 717 since I am not well versed in that aircraft for a reason. Just don't want to do it. But the experience itself, if you get a chance to go, I highly recommend that you do go. And if you're there, hang out with Moose and I. It's a real eye opener. Again, you never know going in, but Moose was a great wingman. Really enjoyed the experience, and trying to get him to crack up, which actually we were cracking each other up.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for me.
Yeah, we were very good, and I didn't think you were shy at all, Moose.
Well, I'm not shy. I'm just introverted, so it doesn't. Shy is not the right word. I can appear that way sometimes if I just want to kind of be in the corner by myself. But no, I've grown up around people and interacting, and I've been forced to do that. So I can fake being an extrovert well, I think is the best way to put it.
Well, you did a good job of it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And again, your knowledge was incredible, because I know limited amount about PCs and things like that, and he filled that gap in, and I filled the flying gap in. So we were pretty much a good Mutt and Jeff act throughout the, or as we call ourselves, Waldorf and Statler.
Yes, that's a Muppet reference, by the way, for those of you who don't know.
And again, just the quality of people that were there and speaking, and the crazy Australian. He's an incredible person, and really the quintessential Oz type of person.
Yeah.
But he flew his Cirrus, the 22, from, I think it was like Sydney up with several stops to Honolulu or Hawaii somewhere.
Yeah, it was some nuts thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then from there to Monterey.
Right.
16 hours. And his Cirrus he had the seats taken out of it. He had gas cans, literally big, I think he said 125 gallons of gas in the cabin.
Yeah.
And it was just him in a little box. And, of course, the airplane's not pressurized. I don't think he had oxygen. So he's staying down low. He's playing the weather and the winds. So all in all, it was just an Irwin Allen movie just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But he was incredible. He's a good guy. And as a matter of fact, we're working to get him on Simple Flight Radio coming up pretty soon. So
right.
We'll let you know when that happens, so you can tune in on Sunday nights or catch the podcast whenever. And you can see why he was such a fascinating individual. John Cox's lecture was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would suggest is, and I'll probably maybe volunteer for this duty next time, is in between dog and pony shows when they're setting up the PCs and stuff, having somebody up there to do quick Q&A to keep the crowd engaged while they attempt to get the audio visuals squared away.
Yeah, and I think that would have been fun to do and have. So
I think I would have enjoyed it. I could have been irreverent.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, we just landed. We're here at the gate at the cargo ramp. Are you still on approach there, Tim?
Just over the outer marker for 24 right.
Gotcha. Oh, you're coming too far. Okay. Yeah, we just landed at 25 left. Yeah. So, by the way, let me say hi to Trey Heinrich, who came on here while Tim was doing his spiel. Kelsey, Justify won the Triple Crown on Sunday. Wow. Okay. Wait, won the Triple Crown or won Belmont or whatever, the Kentucky Derby or whatever it was? We actually have we actually had a Triple Crown winner again for the first time in a while. Okay. Wow. Awesome. Let's see. And Grape One's heading off the night. Okay. So yeah. So all in all, great time, great experience, great people. It was, like I said, it was a blast to finally be able to meet Tim in person and hang out. Likewise, Tim was great to hang out with and just kind of, we just kind of hung with each other for the weekend for the most part. So along with Chris. And yeah, it was just it's fun to have those connections and do that. So we've all got each other's numbers now. And we can text each other, so we're all a little bit more connected. The world gets a little smaller when that stuff happens.
I like Chris. Chris, for those of you who don't know, it is former U.S. Marine Corps.
Yes.
I think it was sergeant. And,
I think so.
One of his last things is make sure you text me you get home safe. I'm
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, I texted.
Red.
Yeah, no, I texted him because he asked me the same thing when I was leaving his hotel room. He said, text me when you get home so I know you're home safe. And so I texted him when I got home, which was just before midnight. But I left his room at about just a little after 4, maybe like 4:30 or so. And so he texted me. I was, oh, good. I was starting to get worried, but I had to go to Target and get a cable, and traffic was bad. And then I had to go get gas, so I didn't actually get on the road till about 6. So I think he was thinking I should have been home an hour and a half earlier than I was. But so that was pretty funny. But so anyway, but yeah, no, it's all in all, it's a great trip, great experience. Can't wait for next year. And you guys, if you got any of you guys that have the means, should definitely come. It's well worth the trip, and it's just a lot of fun. There's really nothing like it for a flight sim perspective like that. So just some housekeeping as we finish up here. I'm marking down when I put my brakes on here real quick. Some final housekeeping. So streaming schedule. Yeah. So like I said earlier, there is a little bit of a change. So Friday and Saturdays do not change, although this week there is no stream Friday, Saturday because I'm going to be in LA. But instead of Thursday night streams, we're moving those to Wednesday, like tonight. So again, that's strictly because I'm teaching a class on Thursday nights now. So for the summer, that's 9 weeks long. So Wednesday nights will be our stream date, and then once the fall hits, we'll switch those back to Thursdays because once choir starts up, my Wednesdays will be cut off again. So a Wednesday streaming for the summer during the week, and then the Friday, Saturday streams. We'll be doing Flight Sim primarily. We'll be doing some more Tower 3D Pro. We'll be mixing some Truck Simulator in there, I'm sure. I'm just not sure. We're kind of going. That was the other thing I was going to tell you guys. I almost forgot. I got to meet up with John Fly, who's another streamer, and he's the guy. If you were on my stream last week, doing I think was it last? No, it would have been 2 weeks ago now, I guess. I think it was a Saturday flight, and all of a sudden John Fly pushed in about 70 people into my stream from the end of his channel. It's kind of like a raid almost. But it increases exposure dramatically to my channel, which is fantastic, and so I was very thankful for that. But I got to meet him, so we've been talking a little bit. I've been pulling into his streams a little bit and saying hi, and he asked me if I wanted to be a part of what's called the Global Sim Alliance. Now, this is something I noticed last year at Flight SimCon. A bunch of the streamers, Cat Strader, John Fly was there then. I didn't actually talk to him then, but I saw him there. Durka, all these guys. They had these shirts that said Global Sim Alliance and all these other simmers on. It's basically a alliance of Twitch streamers that are all in it to help each other succeed. And so, but they're all based on people that are flight simmers that have pretty good channels that have good audio, camera, stuff like that, that look like they could go somewhere. And so John, I was talking to John in his stream, he basically, kind of said, hey, can I ask you a question real quick? Would you be interested in being part of this? And I remember last year thinking I need to be a part of that group somehow. So it's like, yes, absolutely. I'd love to be a part of that. So I've been invited into the Global Sim Alliance going into this conference. And so I got to meet up with John Fly at the conference, and actually he was doing one of those Squawk Box things where it's kind of like a meet and greet, and no one was coming over at that moment, and so he was going to live stream it, and I was standing right there, and he's like, hey, you want to come just be on my live stream with me so it looks like something's going on? I was like, yeah. So I ended up shooting the breeze with him on his live stream from the conference for a Squawk Box thing for a while. Well, we then met with other people, walked by and talked, and so he got to plug my stream a little bit and do that. So I'm going to be doing some painting for him for his little FS Economy VA thing he has called Snack Air. And it's just kind of a cool little partnership I didn't really expect to have happen, but it came together right kind of before the conference. And so it's a way to get me some more exposure through his massive following that he already has. So it's cool to make those little connections of friends. I got to meet up. I met Durka just kind of happenstantially. He was doing a live stream over by the GoFlight thing, and I really wanted to see it. And so I noticed he kind of was like looking away and doing something else. So I kind of snuck in behind him and was looking at this thing. Well, then all of a sudden he turns his live stream over to this thing that I'm looking at and goes, and this is the GoFlight thing. And so I kind of just jumped into my natural, mode and went, well, do you want me to Vanna White this for you? And so I started, hand modeling it for his stream. And so he's cracking jokes about that. And so when he ended his stream, we started talking. And so I was telling him, yeah, I just joined your alliance I with John Fly there. And so immediately he gets, oh, that's awesome. I'll have to add you to my my Twitch auto host thing, and he was starting to give me tips for live streaming for next year with the phone and the stand and what he's found that works and doesn't work. It's just people are super helpful. It's great. I love it. And so if you're nice and just and courteous, then people are more than willing to step in and help each other, and that's what this community is about. So.
And then there's me.
And then there's Tim, who's just irreverent.
Yeah. Well, not to steal your thunder, but I did pick up a new follower on Twitter this morning.
Oh, really? You want to say?
Fabiano.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. So you got one up on me on that one. I don't have Fabiano following me yet, so at least not that I'm aware of. DR Corvette, how's it going? Thanks for the hearts. Thanks for the love there. That's Rothmuller, I believe. Come at me, NightBot. I don't think NightBot cares on Twitch at the moment. I think he's only watching the YouTube side, I think. Blue Crayon, good to see you. Yes, thanks for coming in. You'll have to watch back. I recapped everything on the expo, so you'll have to go back and watch that and see. But I've got to go now.
On? Hey, Blue Crayon.
Yeah, Blue Crayon's here now. I've got to go because I've got some work to do, and I need to eat dinner finally because I haven't eaten since breakfast, and I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah, you and me both.
So yeah, Tim's in the same boat. So I'm fasting because of all the money I spent at the buffet at Caesars. So.
Yeah, really. Don't get me started.
Yeah, right. So, well, you've still got another one coming up. You got that $95 a plate dinner you're doing here pretty soon, right?
That's 21st. It's 95 per.
Yeah. So you got that coming up. So, anyway, all right.
You gonna come in for that?
No. Anyway, so thanks guys for coming along for flying. Thanks for being a part of the channel. I really appreciate it. It's times like this that you really get to kind of see the community come together and be what it is, and that's the flight sim community. And I'm thankful for that. I do this. I don't do this for the money because I don't make a lot of money doing this. If I was doing this for the money, this is a failed venture. Let me put it that way. This is all about I enjoy flight sim and I want to share it with other people, and I want to help other people, and I think I get to do that through this. So thanks for being a part of it. Again, a big thanks to Tim and Chris for meeting me at the expo and hanging out. It was a great time hanging with you guys. A super big thanks to Chris for the time in the simulator, and a thanks to Tim for the book and the hats and swag from earlier. Again, all is appreciated. And a big thanks to Al for the book that he sent me before that I just got the other day. So, yeah, you'll want to watch that for the reaction to GFO. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next week, Wednesday.
Aren't you Friday?
Not this week because I'm going to be in LA, remember?
Oh, I thought. Oh, you're talking about streaming. Okay.
Yeah, streaming.
This weekend, yeah.
Yes, no. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot. Yes, I just got an email from LA RTAC. I am controlling Lindbergh for the first shift, Lindbergh ground. So the start of the ZLA flying, which is going to be starting at 4 Pacific, I believe. It's 1600 is actual time. Whatever that is, I think it's like 2300 Zulu or something like that. I'll be controlling ground from then, at least for about 2.5 hours or so, or 2 hours or so. And maybe longer. If there's no one to relieve me, I might just stay on and just keep going. So, but
I'll
come,
have to do a flight in San Diego then.
yeah, come take off at San Diego. I'll give you your clearance and clear, and then handle you on the ground until tower takes you. So that'll be fun.
I'll take you 727 out, so you have to.
There you go.
Go Slant Alpha.
There you go. Do it. Make me work. All right, guys. Yeah, Expo is great. If you just tuned in, go back and watch when this is done and it posts, because I just covered the whole Expo. If you just missed it, I'm signing off for the night. So, all right, guys. Thanks so much for coming along. Thanks so much for being a part of the channel. I really appreciate it. Again, words do not express. And a special thanks to Chris and Tim for the weekend. I will see you guys all next Wednesday. Have a wonderful night. Keep the blue side up. Have a good night.